Oh, I think I'm recording it. Okay. Hi, sweaties. How are we doing today? This is going to be a different kind of video. I've never made a video like this before. If you saw the title of the video, then you know what we're doing. I am going to break down the entire timeline that is American Horror Story. All of it. I've been known to claim that American Horror Story is my favorite show of all time. That was a lie. My favorite show of all time is Full House. American Horror Story is my second favorite show. Each season is different, however, they're all woven together in some kind of way. I thought, I need to have a breakdown. I need to map this whole thing out. Hence the corkboard. We are going to make a timeline for American Horror Story, all 12 seasons. I'm not talking about the American Horror Stories, because there's a whole nother sub-show. I don't have any rhyme or reason to this. I think I'm going to take on the first 4 seasons in this video, and then the next 4 and the 4 after that. Hey, this is editing Hannah here. How's it going? So actually, I lied. After I did the 3rd season, I was like, this video is way too long for me to sit here and do 4 seasons in one video. Long story short, I'm only doing the first 3 seasons of American Horror Story, and I'm gonna, if y'all like this, there'll be 4 videos all together. Also, while I was doing this, I did not intend for this. This is exactly like Mike's Mike. If you've seen the Pretty Little Liars timeline breakdown by Mike's Mike, he does a way better job at this than I do, and I didn't realize when I started this that I'm doing the exact same thing just for American Horror Story. So I do have to acknowledge that this is a lot like Mike's Mike. He's way better than I am at it. Not to, you know what? I did a really good job. I'm gonna give myself credit. I did the best I could do. Please like it, because I f***ing took forever. So please, help me. All right, you can get back to it. Okay, see you later. I didn't know if I wanted to go about explaining the timeline, like if I was talking to someone who's never seen the show before, or someone who is a very avid fan of an American Horror Story whore like myself, and we just wanted to fangirl and geek out together. This is your big trigger warning, big ass trigger warning. Blood, gore, sex, R-word, essay, anything to do with that. Basically, if you're triggered by anything in this world, this is your warning. I tried to find a smaller microphone because this is like my desk microphone and it's heavy as hell. And I tried to find just like a cheap like game show host, like a Bob Barker Price is Right microphone. We're gonna start at the very beginning because why would we go out of order? Our first season of American Horror Story is Murder House. I decided I'm gonna put a little note up in here just to give you a ranking of how I felt about each season. I'll try and be as unbiased as I can, but that's gonna be very hard. So for Murder House, I'm gonna go ahead and give it my ranking out of 5. That doesn't look good at all. We're giving it 4.5 out of 5. Murder House is one of my favorite shows that is on TV. Even if it wasn't even a part of American Horror Story, if it was just its own thing, it's great. It is fantastic. I'm gonna go about this not explaining like what's happening as the episodes premiered. I'm gonna go just based off the timeline of how the events in the season chronologically would have happened. I don't know, I can understand it a lot better because if I explained it to you as each episode aired, oh my god, we'd be here for 7 days. 1922. There is a doctor to the stars. His name is Dr. Charles Montgomery. I have visuals, people. Oh my god, can you believe it? Dr. Charles Montgomery, a doctor, surgeon, right? He builds this house. And I can't believe, I didn't even print off a picture of the house. I feel really stupid. Builds this house for his wife, Nora. Nora, she's a East Coast socialite. Can you say that word? I can't. Socialite. She comes from money. She gets married to Charles and they move out to LA. They have a child. I don't know if it happens in that order, but they do. They have a child named Thaddeus. I did not print off a picture of Thaddeus because he's really not here for very long. You know, I gotta be honest with you. She's a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs sometimes, but she's just used to having that bag, used to having the moolah. Money is not coming in as she thought it would be. So now they can't hardly afford their servants. God forbid. It's working up Nora's nerves, okay? Having a strain in their relationship. He starts to get addicted to something called ether. I thought it was just chloroform. Maybe it is. I haven't looked that up. And he just puts it over his face and and he gets high as hell. So Charles has got some kind of weird obsession really going on. He's trying to play God, and he starts sewing different parts of animals together. Like I think he's sewing bat wings onto a pig or something like that. I don't know. He's a little odd. He's an oddball. It's the drugs. It most likely is the drug. To make some money, they have a side hustle where Nora, she offers services to young women if they have fallen to a predicament that they don't necessarily want to be in. They start giving abortions out of the house. Well, Dr. Montgomery does. And Laura. Who's Laura? Who's Morris?
Who's Morris?
Nora is the one that goes and gets the girls and brings them back. Anyway, it's just a way for them to make some more money. One of the girls spills the beans about what she did if she got rid of her baby, and her boyfriend, her lover, whoever it may be, was not happy about it. He took it upon himself, broke into the Montgomery's house, he stole their own baby, Thaddeus, and the guy calls and he says, I'll recreate it. Here you go. An eye for an eye. Let me do that again. Take two. An eye for an eye. A tooth for a tooth. And so Nora is like, what? So then she runs upstairs, checks on the baby. Baby's gone. A couple days later, the police show up and they talk to Charles and they show him jars full of dismembered body parts from a child, a baby, their baby, Thaddeus. He has died. So obviously that just completely fucking blows. Nora, she comes down to the basement carrying a little blanket and she says, I want to bury our son in this. And she peers over in the garage over his shoulder, Charles, and is like, what are you doing? This man took the parts from their child and sewed them onto another being, and he's trying to bring back life. Nora is just like, what the fuck? And Charles comes downstairs and he tells Nora, she's sitting there polishing. I love this part of the show. I don't know why. I just love watching it. She's sitting there polishing her silver and she's like, if mother could see me now polishing my own silver. I actually really like Nora. I mean, she's kind of a cunt, but so Charles comes downstairs and he's like, I've got a surprise for you up in the nursery. Go take a look. Pulls back the curtain. Baby's gone. Then she hears something behind her, like a little hiss, like a and she turns around and she sees something so horrific. And it's never really said in the show, but I believe that the writers have dubbed this the infantata. Look at how beautiful. Oh my gosh, a little baby. Charles has taken the beating heart from one of their girls and he created life. You really only see like flash images. Okay, bitch. Hang on. I put it like right through the fucking head. Can y'all see? Nora goes up there. She sees the infantata. She's like, then she comes back downstairs and she really starts gassing Charles up. She's like, you are a genius. How the hell did you do that? Really just feeding into his ego. He explains, like, I used the beating heart from a girl. Nora had something else up her sleeve. She pulls out a 22. I don't know if it was a 22 or not, but she pulls out a gun. We'll just say it's a 22 because it's 1920. Actually, this was all taking place in 1926. You know, they moved into the house in 22 and then lived there for about 4 years. And this is all taking place then. Anyway, and she hugs him and is holding him and then says, bop. She kills him. Charles has died. Womp, womp, womp. And then Nora turns the gun on herself and eats a bullet, and Nora has died. The infantata still lives. Actually, the infantata, she, I guess it could be a she. Why not? The infantata stays in the basement, pretty much, and it stays there forever. We're jumping ahead in 1947. There is a dentist. Well, I guess, yeah, dentists are doctors. They're teeth doctors. Who has bought the house and he's working out of the basement. A man called Dr. Curran. I'm going to say Curran because I don't know, it sounds better to me. He's a dentistry and he's working out of his own house. I didn't print off a picture of him because he's really not around for very long. This young woman comes up to the house. I think she's got a cavity or something. She's like, my mouth is hurting. I don't have enough money to pay right now. She's a struggling actress. She's trying to make it big. Big old city of Hollywood. I guess is it a city or a town? Twinkle Town. And she says, I have a friend who recommended you, and she's told me that you can help out young girls in my situation. Wink, wink. That woman is Miss Elizabeth Short, famously known as the Black Dahlia. Now, this is not historically accurate to what actually happened to Elizabeth Short. It loosely is based on it. Get some help and I'll pay you back in other ways if I have to. And he says, well, let's just talk about that later. Let's look at your tooth now. Show me your mouth. Dr. Curran actually puts the laughing gas mask. He's like, breathe deep. We'll get this cavity fixed and then we'll talk about payment afterwards. Well, this slimy motherfucker, gross ass man, takes it upon himself while she is out for the count. She is out cold to pleasure himself. R word. Yes. When he finishes, he's like, all right, well, now let's worry about the tooth. It's not funny that I'm just laughing because I don't know how else to deal with it. And then he realizes, crank that up way too high and she's dead. So he's freaking the fuck out. Dr. Charles, he shows himself Dr. Coran. Really sorry if this is not how you pronounce his name, but I don't care. Montgomery shows himself to Dr. Coran. He tells him, I can help you out. Dr. Coran comes back and he sees that Dr. Montgomery has completely severed Elizabeth Short's body in half. He's given her, I think it's called a Glasgow smile. It's a smiley face just carved into her face. How people saw the Black Dahlia. If you know that story, that's what happened. That's how Dr. Montgomery took care of business, I guess. He strikes again. Dr. Coran took the pieces and dumped them out on the side of a street somewhere in LA. So we got Elizabeth Short sitting around the house. She really doesn't show herself much. All right, y'all, we are jumping ahead again to 1968.
Hey, Mama, welcome to the 60s.
I haven't fact-checked myself yet about this guy in particular. I'm not sure if this was a real person. Again, like Elizabeth Short, how they just they used the story and loosely based it. 1968. The house is now being used as a sorority for young nurses. They're going through nursing school. Maybe like 5 or 6 of them living in the house. We have Miss Gladys Knight and the Pips. Then we have Miss Maria. How do you solve a problem like Maria? Sorry, my ADHD, sorry. Other girls leave the house. Maria and Gladys are staying behind. Later on in the evening, they get a knock at the door, and this man he's holding his head. He's got some blood coming out. He says, I'm hurt and needing some help. They let him in. You know, nowadays, it's easy to say, like, why the would you let him in the house? Back then, they're nurses. They like to help people, and they didn't see anything wrong with it. He starts kind of acting a little weird because he sees that Maria's wearing a cross necklace, and he's like, do you think Jesus can save you? Asking weird-ass questions and right off the bat. So Gladys, she's already got, like, her ears are perked up, like, Maria's like, I can't find the source of the bleeding. Did I say his name? His name's R. Franklin. He picks up a bowl, smashes it against Maria's head, knocks her out cold, and then Gladys starts to take off running. He corners her, and he's like, And so then he takes Gladys upstairs to the bathroom and drowns her in the bathtub. Womp, womp, womp. Gladys has died. And then comes back downstairs as Maria put on a nurse's uniform. He does not like nurses. That was his whole shtick. He has her like hog-tied on the couch and everything, and so we could just assume that he has his way with her. After that, he's sitting in the chair, twirling a knife in his hands, and he's like, I told you, Jesus can't save you. Just a fucking freak, okay? Comes up behind her, stabs her in the back like 15 times. Maria and Gladys died in 1968. 2 more spirits to add to the total. All right, we're gonna have another time jump. 1978, what happened then? I'm looking at my notes. Fun fact, this is how the entire series of American Horror Story starts. If you start watching this show after here, this is the very first thing you're gonna see. There are a couple of twin boys. I didn't show you. Brian and Troy, right? They show up to the house. There's another character there waiting, just staring at the house. We'll talk about her in a second. Between 1968 and 1978, the house is laid abandoned. It's just been kind of in ruin pretty much. So the boys go in there and they take it upon themselves to have fun with their baseball bats, just destroying shit. After a little bit, they find their way down to the basement and they see all of Montgomery's past experiments, the jars full of dead babies and animals and fetuses, and they're like, this stinks. I'm leaving. Troy hangs back a little bit because he's like, I want to keep exploring a little bit more. Brian is trying to leave. The whole time that they've been going throughout the house, Troy has been doing those little popper things you can get from the dollar store. You throw them on the ground, they make the pop noise. Not poppers. Hang on, wait a minute. They're not doing poppers. So the whole time this scene is going on, you hear his little pop things going off. When Brian starts going up the stairs, they stop. He turns around and he sees Troy on the ground holding his neck. His neck has been clawed at by something. What is it? The infantata. The infantata presumably goes after both of them. Twins, Brian and Troy, both die. This whole scene takes place in like 3 minutes, and it's just setting the tone for the whole series, and you're like, we're going to 1983. This is where we meet some pretty significant characters in this entire series. Of the entire series of American Horror Story, not just this season, this is probably like top 3 favorite characters for me. Miss Constance Langdon, played by Queen herself, Jessica Lange. So Constance, she's moved out to LA from the motherland where I'm from, Virginia, the Old Dominion.
Proud Virginia. The Old Dominion, born and bred.
That southern drawl, that Tidewater accent, you know. She moves out to LA because she wants to become a famous actress, right? This was back in like the 60s, late 60s that Constance moved out here. She realizes that nudity is the way that things are going, and she says something like, I was not about to have my green pasture flying high, but she was like, you're not gonna see my body on the screen. So then she packs up that dream, and then she starts having kids. Ow, I just poked myself with the thumbtack. With her husband, Hugo Langdon. I don't really really know why I printed out a picture of him. Like, he's a pretty significant character just for this storyline, but he's not really in the show that much. Anyway, Constance and him have a couple of kids, their first child, and the one that you saw in the very opening scene with the twin boys, Miss Addie. Queen. Love her. I want to be a pretty girl. Can I pet your dog? Then she has a son, Tate Langdon. Tate Langdon. My God. This picture, I'm sorry, I tried to print it off as well as they don't really have a very good picture of their son, the other son, Beauregard. They call him Beau. This is something I want to point out. Deter for just a second, because in one of the early episodes, Constance is talking to another character that we'll get to. Character is asking, like, how many children do you have altogether? And she says, I have 4. Addie, Tate, Beau, and then you never hear about the 4th one. I think it was talked about in Apocalypse or the American Horror Stories, because when I was doing my research, they brought up there was another daughter named Rose. She's seen and she's got her eyes gouged out or something like that. But anyway, in this season, they never talk about the 4th child, and it used to piss me off. You said she's got 4, where's the 4th one? It was just never talked about. So anyway, not necessarily Mother of the Year. I know I say she's my favorite character, but my God, does she have her flaws. Constance has caught wind an affair that is taking place between her husband, Hugo, and another character that plays a very big role in this season, Moira. The reason I have 2 pictures up here, if you've seen the show, you know. This younger version of Moira, that's how she was in 1983. The older version of her, that is who it would look like if she lived modern day. And actually, it's interesting because as the season progresses, all the young men that move into the house, if they objectify women, typically, they'll see Moira as she used to be. They'll see her as kind of like the sexy, sultry, slinky little housemaid. 1983, we're still here. Constance has caught wind that Hugo and Moira are having an affair. It was a one-time thing, honestly. She agreed to do it the first time. He comes in and makes some advances towards her. She's like, no, I don't want to do it anymore. That was a mistake. Well, Hugo doesn't like that. He's like, I'm a man and I want what I want. So he starts forcing her. Constance walks in with a 22. Bah, bah, fires off some warning shots. They both are like, Constance shoots Moira right in the eye. When you see Moira in her older form, one of her eyes is like got this milky, glossy look to it. Shoots Moira dead. Moira's gone. Then turns the gun on Hugo. Kills her husband. Constance tells the police that Hugo up and left with Moira. Actually, I don't think she says that Moira and him took off running. Claims that he's not here anymore. He's left. Well, what she really did was she starts burying both of them in the backyard. She buries Moira back there, and she's about to put Hugo in the backyard, but she says, I would never give you the satisfaction of burying you next to another lover. Constance, she plays dirty. Constance has been running a doggy daycare out of her house. Down in the basement, she has a meat grinder down there to grind up some food for the dogs. She cuts up Hugo and puts him through the meat grinder and feeds it to the dogs. They lived there for maybe about a year. 1984, they move out of the house. Constance and the 3 kids. 1993, Larry Harvey. He looks a little rough. We'll explain what happens to him. Anyway, he moves in with his family, his wife, Lorraine, and their 2 daughters, Angela and Margaret. I forgot her name. I think it's funny when I don't mean to, but I put it right in the middle of their fucking heads. Constance and her kids moved to the house right next door to Murder House. It was like right around this time, she wants to get back into the house. She doesn't want to lose her kids. She wants to have them for eternity. Larry and Constance start having an affair. Well, really, Larry falls in love with Constance. Constance is just kind of playing the field. One night, they're sitting down at dinner, and he says, I think we need to get a divorce. I think you need to take the girls and move back to Ohio or wherever the hell she's from. I'm gonna stay here and live in this house, but I think we just need to end this. And she's like, what? He says, I've fallen in love with someone else. She's like, who is it? He says, Constance from next door. Poor thing. Lorraine, I feel so bad for her. She doesn't have a lot of screen time, but just the time she does have, I was like, this poor woman. Lorraine, she kind of snaps. She has a little bit of a breakdown. She takes her and the girls and she locks them in the bedroom and lights the bedroom on fire. And they die. Yes. It's really not long after the deaths of his wife and 2 girls that Larry moves Constance, Tate, Addie, and Beau back into the house. He moves very quickly. So then we're going to skip ahead to the next year. Larry has had quite a banner of a year. I'm going to move him over. I'm going to move all of the Langdons over. Addie, get back in formation. Constance has Beau locked up in the attic, chained up, and just treated like a complete, in her words, a mongoloid. She treats him awful. It's really like a secret hidden away. Never goes outside, never gets treated for any ailments he may have. Hella noise complaints. Because poor thing, he's up in the attic. He's like He can't talk. So he's just screaming his life away. CPS is called on Constance. They're going to come and take Bo away. And her and Larry have talked about it, that if this were to happen, I need you to take care of it like we discussed. Which makes it sick that they've talked about doing this already. Larry goes up to the attic to see Bo, to tuck him in for a good night's sleep. Really fatherly towards him. He's like, it's time to go to bed, time to wind down. Larry takes the pillow, puts it over Bo's face, smothers him in his sleep. That's another one to add to the list. From there, where do we want to go from there? Because 1994, my God. They're having a family dinner at one point. Tate is really clued in on what's really going on. And I think he's starting to have his suspicions, because the more that's happening with Larry, his brother just randomly died one day. Constance kind of covers up and says, like, he died from natural causes and stuff. He died in his sleep. So he's got his suspicions, and he knows that Larry is whipped for Constance. Basically, Tate, he ain't having it. And so he's got some fucking problems. Tate is fucked. I'm not a doctor, so I can't diagnose. Some kind of bipolar disorder, maybe a personality disorder, maybe schizophrenic mosh posh of things happening in his little noggin. They have a family dinner one night. He tells Addie, he's like, he killed our brother. Anyway, he is just at his breaking point. Next day, he goes and sees Larry at his work, and he douses him with gasoline and lights him on fire. It's not funny, but he went from like 0 to 100. Larry ended up living. He didn't die from it, but that is why he is permanently disfigured. And then right after Tate did that, went to his high school. He shot up the high school and killed 15 kids. That whole scene is very hard to watch. He comes home, the SWAT team comes and finds him in his bedroom, and they kill Tate. So Tate has died as well. Constance and Addie leave the house. They go back to the neighboring house next door. Larry is just off on his own. He comes back into play later on. Good old 2010s. That is such a gross time. Where were you in 2010? I was a freshman in high school. Ugh. Okay, this is my favorite character of the entire season. Like, nothing really happens to her, but I had to print off a picture of her because she is my favorite of all time. Marcy! And I had to get this picture of her. It makes me laugh so much. Marcy is the realtor that is trying her goddamn best to sell this house to people. Just going to put her up there because she is of a higher power and she deserves her own spot up there. The next tenants take over the house. Chad, who is married to Patrick. Chad and Patrick. The gays. They move into the house with hopes of actually trying to flip the house. They want to store it and flip it, sell it for more money. Ugh, come on now. And that doesn't go according to plan because nothing ever does in this house. Their relationship starts to kind of get strained. It's just a common theme. When you get into the house, your relationship is going to be just thrown through the ringer. Chad is all about doing the decoration. Chad is more of like the heavy lifter. Like, just tell me what you want done. I'll do it, but I don't care about this at all. Chad starts to find out through phone records and emails. Patrick has started an online relationship with someone named Jungle Jim 4267. I don't know what the numbers were, but I just remember Jungle Jim. He finds out that he's into some pretty raunchy shit. Patrick is BDSM and tying people up. I mean, he's kind of a freak. So instead of calling him out on it, Chad, like, you know what? Well, why don't I just try to appease his taste? I can try, see if I like it, and then maybe that can bring us closer together. Maybe we'll start a bond. He goes to a sex shop and he buys a suit. The rubber suit. It's changed into it. Well, he's wanting to start some little hanky-panky with Patrick. Patrick is like, take that off. It doesn't go according to plan. Chad puts the suit up in the attic. Halloween rolls around. Chad is trying to decorate for Halloween. He tells Patrick, I need you to go out and get a suit. Go out and get a costume so we can have this Halloween party and invite all of our friends, invite people to come and see the house and see what we've done to it so that way we can sell this thing and then we can go our separate ways. Chad is putting some apples in the bobbing station and he sees what he thinks is Patrick come out in the rubber suit. Rubber Man takes Patrick, dunks his head into the bobbing station, twists and cracks his neck. Then Patrick walks in behind him dressed as a cowboy. Rubber Man kills Patrick. He beats the shit out of him and then shoves a fireplace poker up his ass. Tosses them both down into the basement. Rubber Man brings down a gun and it's staged that Chad shot Patrick in like a lover's quarrel kind of thing and then turned the gun on himself. So it looks like a murder-suicide. Okay. Okay, so all the while this is happening, there is a family that's living in Boston. Ben Harmon, he's a psychiatrist and a gaslighting fool. We have his wife, Vivian, who honestly, she kind of gets on my nerves. Like, I feel bad for her the majority of the season, but really she gets on my nerves. And their daughter, Violet. And rewatching this season, great hair. Fantastic hair. While this is happening, Ben and Vivian are actually having their own issues because Vivian was pregnant. She has a miscarriage. Apparently it was very far along in her pregnancy too, so she had to deliver the baby and it was pretty traumatic. Vivian is a little bit more distant because she's just like, my world has been f***ing rocked and I need a minute. Ben goes and he starts having an affair with one of his, I think he teaches a psychology course or something like that, but he has an affair with one of his students, Hayden. That was the best picture I could find of her. Vivian finds Hayden and Ben in bed together having sex. It's about 6 months after she finds out that he's been having the affair that Ben is like, we just need to up and leave. They still haven't left each other yet. I mean, easier said than done, but if I were Vivian, I would have been like, bye. Bye. But she sticks around. Ben is like, let's go look at this house over in LA. We're going across the country. We're leaving this life behind in Boston. All these bad memories. We're leaving it. And let's go start over in LA. It's being sold for really cheap because nobody can stay alive, and poor Marcy is trying her damn best. They love it. They stay there, right? That's where the story really starts. And as the season goes on, all of this unfolds. They're still trying to repair their relationship. Violet is just like a truant kind of moody little teenage bitch. Ben is really trying. Vivian is kind of pushing him away. She's like, I need my time. Just give me some space and maybe we can work it out, but give me the space I need. Ben is like, I'm horny. First night in the house, they have a big argument, and that kind of turns into some hate sex. Oh, I should mention, they're going up in the attic. Vivian finds the rubber suit up in the attic because Marcy has told them about the gay couple that lived there because she has to let them know what happened in the house 3 years prior to them moving in. So she had to let them know that there was a murder-suicide that did happen. And she sees the rubber suit up in the attic, and she's like, I guess they were kind of in the kinky stuff. And she's like, just throw it away. Ben throws it away. They have their sex. Later on in the evening, Ben is downstairs because he's in some kind of like sleepwalking. I don't know. They're having a moment. So Ben is downstairs putting his hand on the fucking stove. And all the while, Vivian is upstairs. And who shows up? Someone in the rubber suit. And she thinks it's Ben because she's like, I thought I told you to throw that thing away. So she's like, you want to go for round 2? Sure. They have sex again. But you can tell halfway through them having sex, she's like, I don't think this is my husband. But she doesn't stop and she doesn't say anything. The rubber man has left the room and Vivian's just laying there, and Ben comes into the room and gets into bed and she's just like, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. And it ends. Actually, it doesn't end because in the last bit of that episode, Vivian announces that she's pregnant. Yes, you heard me right. Yeah. And then where do we go from there? Tate, his spirit is hanging around because he starts to be seen by Dr. Harmon, and Constance is trying to get Tate in touch with Ben just to be like, look, you're still, even in death, you are still dealing with some shit and I don't know what the fuck to do. Tate starts seeing Dr. Harmon and he tells him basically everything that he's ever thought about wanting to kill people. He hurts the people that he loves because he wants to take them away from this world of just vile and shit. I want to take them somewhere clean is what he says. Ben is like, okay. Well, it starts to get a little dicey because Tate starts to form a relationship with Violet. Ben is like, no. So that causes a rift between Tate, Ben, Violet, all of them. Ben actually gets a call. I feel like I'm blocking. Oh, Vivian, you're not even attached. Ben gets a call earlier in the week from a past patient that he had back in Boston. Tells Vivian that they tried to commit suicide. They are in a hospital. He wants to go visit this patient to make sure that they're okay. He's using that as a cover-up because Hayden actually got in touch with Ben and was saying, hey, you got me pregnant. Hope you know that. Gets Ben to come out to Boston because she's planning to have an abortion to get rid of the baby and she wants Ben to be there. Again, she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She has a lot of attachment issues. Ben uses that cover up to go out to Boston. The whole time that they're there, Hayden is like, no phones. I don't want anybody calling us. This is our time. I just need you here through the weekend. After that, you can head back home. She gets very possessive. There's one moment where he checks his phone just for a split second and she has like a full freak out and starts crying, panicking, just to kind of paint the picture. When Hayden goes back, well, hang on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Am I on the right track? But right before Ben left, Larry meets up with Ben, tells him, like, you need to leave the house. He starts to tell his story. Doesn't tell the whole story about what happened, but he just is like, I've been in that house and it's going to eat you alive. So he's kind of trying to be his friend. And then he starts threatening him throughout and he's like, I need $1,000. I need $1,000 for headshot. Everybody wants to be an actor out here. That's going on as well. Before Ben left, he had a session with someone named Bianca, and she explains to him that she has this reoccurring nightmare where she's in an elevator and the elevator gets stuck. She's trying to crawl out and the floor drops and it cuts her in half. And she just keeps having this nightmare and it just freaks her out. It's all a ruse for her to just get into the house so she can kind of scope out the floor plan, because her and a group of freaks, Bianca, Fiona, and Dallas, they have started a club really kind of they're obsessed with murders. They became obsessed with this murder that happened with R. Franklin. He killed Gladys and Maria. They are holding Ben's gone. He's in Boston. They're holding Violet and Vivian hostage. They want to use them as the Gladys and Maria of the murder story. Tate shows himself to Violet because she managed to run away for just like a second, and Tate is like, get him to the basement and I'll help you take care of it. Violet hoodwinks her way with Fiona to get her down to the basement. Basically, Fiona dies. Dallas dies in the house. Honestly, my memory right now, I can't even remember what exactly happened to them. I just know they did die. I'm gonna have to fact check myself. I'll put a little thing in here. Where'd she go? Constance actually made some cupcakes for Violet, but she had put Epicac to give her violent stomach aches. And anyway, Violet didn't eat them. There was a cupcake waiting outside of Violet's room. Bianca picks it up. She eats the whole thing. She starts shitting herself. I think I gotta go to the hospital. I don't feel good at all. She's making her way downtown, walking fast, faces past, and she's homebound. Tate, where are you at? Tate, swinging an axe, hits her right in the torso. And her nightmare about her being cut in half, not necessarily in the way she thought, but it comes true. She makes it off the property and then dies, but she does not die in the house, so her spirit does not stay. Hayden follows Ben back home to LA. She shows up at his door. She's like, but I didn't have the abortion. She says, you know what, just meet me somewhere and we could talk about everything that's going to happen, because she's like, I'm moving here and you're going to pay for this baby too. Ben pretty much stood Hayden up. She comes back to the house and she's like, I'm going to tell Vivian, I'm f***ing ticked. And he's like, just calm down. I will go with you. We can go somewhere and we can talk it out. And she's like, okay, fine. Larry starts swinging a shovel, hits Hayden on the head and knocks her out cold. And then he just beats the shit out of her and kills Hayden. Halloween is the time when spirits can walk freely amongst the living and in the wild. Moira, actually, she goes and visits her mother in the hospital. Her mom is near death. Like, she is gotta be like 90 some years old. And she goes to visit her in the nursing home. And she's hooked up to a ventilator and everything. This part actually makes me really sad because Moira unhooks the oxygen thing and her mom dies. And her mom appears as a spirit behind Moira. And she's like, you come with me. You can come with me now. We can go. Whatever's next, we can go together. And Moira's crying and she's like, I can't. I have to go back. I can't go with you. It's so sad. Marcy comes back into the picture because they're wanting to sell the house already. They haven't lived there very long and they're already wanting to sell it. So she says, we need to just make this a really warm and inviting place for people that want to come and see it. She's like, let's get some fluffers, what she calls it, to dress up the house. Who's Jack? Chad and Patrick show up and they're like, oh, you must be the fluffers. Chad and Patrick, they start getting on Vivian and Ben for how they've decorated the house. Vivian has looked through the phone records and seen that Hayden has been in touch with Ben, so she's already like ticked the off. Anyway, they start going back and forth and it works Vivian up so much that she feels like she's going into labor almost. Ben's like, it's only been 8 weeks. You cannot be going into labor. But then they're like, oh, what if we're having another miscarriage again? Anyway, Ben takes Vivian to the hospital. Nurse that is looking at her ultrasound and she passes out because she sees something in Vivian's womb that makes her feel so unsettled. And later on you find out she quits her job and just lives at the church. Pretty much. You can kind of guess it was some unholy shit that she saw in Vivian's belly. Vivian and Ben head back home. Violet is gone. Where did she go? She went off with Tate. They're having their very first date night, yay, down at the beach. Violet is wanting to go ahead and get it going with Tate. Like, she's ready to give herself up to him. He's like, no, I'm not. I don't want to do that. He doesn't outright say it, but you can gather he's like, this is the only time I can really be out of the house, and I could do this anytime I want to in the house. Let me enjoy this out here, this beach and being away. A group of of kids show up and they're dressed like Violet tells them they look like the Dead Breakfast Club, and they all look like they've got some prosthetic makeup on. Violet and Tate think it's some Halloween costume. They go up to Tate and they're like, you don't remember us? It's some of the kids that he had killed at the high school. And then by the end of the night, really trying to get Tate to confess what he did, but he doesn't realize what he's done. Unfortunately, Miss Addie does die on Halloween night. She's out trick-or-treating as a pretty girl. Constance got her this ugly looking mask. It looks horrific. So she didn't have to worry about doing her hair, doing her makeup or whatever. She ends up getting hit by a car, and Constance finds her. She's like, we got to get her to the lawn. We have got to get her to the lawn, because Constance wants to keep her spirit forever. And she doesn't make it in time. So Addie is not stuck in the house. Print off another character, which her name is Billie Dean Howard. I'll put a picture up of what she looks like. Sarah Paulson, but she's a medium. Constance is talking to Billie Dean. Addie wants to say thank you for not getting her to the lawn, because she does not want to stay in the house. She does not want to be with Tate. On Halloween night, that is where shit is hitting the face. Halloween night is a 2-part episode. Hayden confronts Vivian. Finally, they're face to face. Hayden finds out that Vivian is pregnant, and Vivian finds out that Hayden is pregnant, but was pregnant. She doesn't know she's dead yet. Ben walks in. Hayden is like, you need to tell her about Boston, or I'm going to tell her, or I'm going to kill her. Kill her and this baby inside of her. Ben spills the beans. He lied, and he said he was going to see another patient. He was in Boston with Hayden. Okay, let's just get Tate and Violet out of the way. With the recent high school kids that showed up and they crashed Tate and Violet's wedding day. I don't know why I was going to say wedding day. Violet starts investigating a little bit. She ends up finding out what Tate has done, who he is, what happened. She cannot take it. She is having a full mental breakdown. She also meets Billie Dean Howard. Explains like Tate, he's like in a childlike state. He doesn't even realize that what he's done. Can't acknowledge it because he doesn't realize. Every now and then he'll have a breakthrough, but overall he doesn't even get it. She takes a whole bunch of sleeping pills and she passes out. Tate finds her and he brings her into the tub. That's when you see that scene where he's like, don't you die on me, Violet! Don't you die! Violet! So she wakes up and she's like, Violet, hang on, who? Tate's like, I can tell that you're different towards me. I don't know what I did, but if you want me to leave you alone, I will. And Violet's like, no, I guess get in the bed with me. They start canoodling. They continue on with the relationship. Throughout the episodes, Ben and Vivian, they corner Violet. We think you're really depressed because you don't leave your room, you don't eat, you don't go to school. And she's like, yeah, I'm like 15. You moved me across the country, uprooted my life. I guess I should just go ahead and say it. I didn't print off another picture, but he does not have a big enough part that warranted a picture printing. There is an exterminator that comes to the house. His name is Phil. Sorry, Phil. They have fruit flies that are, what does he call them? Blowflies. It's not important at all, but I felt like I should get it right. He's down in the crawl space. He finds something that he shouldn't have seen. Who comes up after him? Tate. Takes the guy's little nozzle thing of his bug sprayer, shoves it down his throat, starts pumping the poison into him, and Phil dies. Ben is planning to send her off to a boarding school. Tate overhears this on the phone to tell Violet, hey, we got to do something because he's going to separate us. So then he's like, we should kill ourselves. That way we can stay here. At this point, Violet is clued into the spirits of the house. She knows. She's like, well, let's do it in the bathtub. So he's like, oh, okay, fine. Violet runs downstairs and then she starts screaming for help, and she starts having a freak out episode. She's like, he is trying to fucking kill me. So she starts running in and out of the house. Every time she goes out of the house, she comes back in, and she's like, what Phil had found. Tate takes Violet down to the crawl space and shows her own body, that she had died when she took all those pills, and she's just been living in a state of limbo pretty much. Yeah, so Violet has died. You get moved. Hayden is dead. Why are you still up here? Another character, that is Mr. Travis. That is the best picture I could find. Travis is Constance's young boy toy lover sort of thing. They start having issues after Addie has died. So anyway, they have a big fight one night, and Travis goes out for a walk with a dog and sees Hayden. She's catcalling him a little bit, whistling at him, comes into the house. They have sex, and then he realizes in like a post-nut clarity that he's like, nah, I think I'm gonna go back to Constance. And Hayden is like, what? Okay, so Vivian starts seeing this rubber man coming after her again. Vivian kind of starts to spiral, and she's telling people what she saw the night that she was raped. and they don't believe her. Starts seeing spirits in the house. Hayden really starts with her mind. They put Vivian in a mental institution. While she's in there, Ben finds out through Vivian's doctor she's having well, they've already found out that they're having twins. Sorry, I didn't say that, but they're having twins. But she also tells Ben the news that one of the twins is fathered by Ben and the other is someone else's. Do you remember the night that they had sex? Who is it? Tate Langdon. In the rubber mask, in the rubber suit. He is also the one that killed Chad and Patrick. Back to the Travis story. Constance brings it up. We should get married because then you can help me be a father to this grandchild that she's about to have from Vivian. We could get married and we can take this baby into custody. Not into custody. Why did I say that? We can take custody of the baby. Travis is like, I don't want to be a dad. They have another argument. Travis leaves and goes back over to the house to Hayden to relieve himself. They have sex again, and afterwards, again, post-nut clarity. No, I think I actually do love Constance. I guess we can make it work. Hayden, she doesn't like it, and she stabs him. She kills Travis. Travis is now stuck in the murder house. I think we're in 2012 at this point. We'll stay down here. Vivian, she doesn't want to go back to the house. She's like, I'm gonna go stay with my sister in Florida. We just gotta go back to the house to pick up our stuff, and then we're leaving. And the doctor there is like, you should not leave at all. You are about to give birth like any minute. And she's like, no, I'll be fine. Anyway, they go back to the house. Vivian starts going into labor in the driveway. Constance finds her and she brings her inside and she's like, you're having this baby right now. You can't make it to the hospital. Some of the spirits start to show themselves. Dr. Montgomery makes a reappearance. Gladys and Maria, they come out to assist. I haven't mentioned it much, but Nora throughout the later half of the season showing herself saying, I need a baby. I miss my baby. That's all she wants in this afterlife is a baby. The spirits of the house are trying to help. She gives birth to Ben's baby. Dr. Montgomery lets him know it's a stillborn and he didn't make it. Nora actually swaddled him up and is keeping the son with her. The son actually, he took a breath and cried and then died. So his spirit is still infant within the house. I think they named him Jeffrey. Rubberman Tate. His baby is born and it kills Vivian. She starts hemorrhaging and she dies. And then you get the iconic scene where Violet tells Tate to go away, and I'll just let it play out because I can't recreate it. Go away, Tate! You're all I want! You're all I have! Go away! And then it's just Ben there with the baby that is not his. So the next episode, this is the episode where I get it to tie up loose ends, but also gets a little dull to me at the end, and that's why I gave it the 4.5, whatever. Anyway, we're at the last episode, people. We can do this. They named the baby Michael, and Constance has been looking after the baby while Ben is tying up some loose ends. He's getting out of the house. I think that the plan was Vivian's sister was going to come and pick Michael up. Ben was going to go somewhere else. I'm not really entirely sure, honestly. I forgot that part already. Vivian's spirit is trying to stay out of Ben's way. She doesn't want Ben to see her. He sees her, he'll stay. He'll kill himself and stay in the house. She finds Nora in the basement with her first baby, Jeffrey. Nora just wants the title of mom. She really doesn't want to be a mom. She's like, I don't think I'm actually really cut out to do this. Vivian is like, well, I'll take care of him, watch after him while you just go rest up. She just wants her baby back. I want my baby back, baby back. Nora pretty much just gives up with Jeffrey and gives it back to Vivian. So Vivian's taking care of that baby. Ben is trying to leave. And then Hayden, Bianca, and Dallas show up and they get Ben, they strangle him, and they put a rope around his neck, around the chandelier, and they throw him over the side of the stairs and make it look like Ben hung himself. And Ben is dead. Woo! I don't like Ben. He's a scrub. Hayden, she sees the baby and she's like, I'm taking this baby. Travis comes up behind her, slits her throat. He slits her throat because it's revenge. Oh, I didn't even explain what happened to Travis, really. Yeah, so Hayden kills him. She tells Larry, you owe me a favor, because they don't want Ben to get framed for the murder of Travis. They don't want the police coming and seeing Travis's body in Ben's house. So what do? They cut him up. They cut Travis up and they call him the boy Dahlia. Like Elizabeth Short. They dump him out under an overpass or something. Sorry, I totally meant to talk about that part. This is happening in 2012, so Ben, you're down here. Larry turned himself in. Constance, one last time, has told Larry, like, I don't fucking love you. I don't know why you keep trying. Because Constance was getting framed for Travis's murder. One last act of love. He turns himself into the police and he goes to prison. So that's the end of Larry's story. So this is the part I could have been done with the whole season and been happy. But there's a new family that is moving in. Miss Marcy is trying it once again. She sells it to the Ramos family. The Ramos, husband, wife, and a son. The son, Gabe, he sees Violet, and Tate notices. He doesn't like it because Tate is like, that is my girl, what the fuck? The Harmon family take it upon themselves to try to scare the Ramos family out of the house. It looks like Ben and Vivian are having a fight and they kill each other. They cut each other open. Ben shoots her in the head. Tate shows himself to Gabe and he's like, you know she's my girl, right? I'm gonna have to kill you. Violet shows up. She gets Tate away from Gabe. Gabe books it. The Ramos family, they leave. And then at the very end of the season, been about 2 or 3 years, Constance has taken the one that is fathered by Tate. She takes him into her house and is starting to raise him. She comes home, but the nanny's not answering. She goes upstairs and she sees Michael is sitting in the rocking chair. He has killed the nanny. The nanny, the flashy girl from Flushing. Constance goes up to him and just says, well, what am I gonna do with you? And then it ends. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Murder House. I hope you enjoyed. This is going to be a long, very long fucking video. Hope I can condense this down to a reasonable amount of time. If I missed anything, I'm sure I did. I know I didn't cover every single little thing that's happening. Oh, I didn't even talk about Mr. Eskandarian. I'm going to get this a little bit more organized. This is just a visual for me right now. Anyway, next up, we'll be doing Asylum. I'll see you in like 2 seconds. Okay, bye. I'm back. I thought about matching my look to the season. I did my makeup a little bit darker because we are about to get into season 2, which personally I think is the darkest season of American Horror Story. I have cleaned up the board a little bit. You probably won't see it from there, but this is what we've talked about in season 1. It's really just everybody that died. It says murder houses built, died, killed, died. Okay, are we ready? We are going to start with season 2 of American Horror Story, Asylum. I guess I should give you my ranking right off the bat. You heard me right. 4.8 out of 5. I f***ing love this season. I didn't give it the 5 out of 5 because I will get to it when I get to talk about this season differently than how I did with Murder House. We went chronologically. This time around, go episode by episode. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I feel like I should just go ahead and get these heifers out of the way, the ones that I could care less about, but they contribute to the story. We are going to start over here, over this way, with 2012. Our story begins with a couple. Honestly, this scene is probably why it didn't get a 5 out of 5 for me, because we have Adam Levine. When I first started watching this, I was like, I know he better not be in this in this show for long. I digress. He's playing a character named Theo. I didn't even print off a picture of him or his new wife, Teresa. The episodes will cut back to them, but they're really overall not here for very long. So they are on their honeymoon, and for their honeymoon, they decided, well, really, Teresa has decided that she wants to go see the scariest places in the US or some shit like that. I don't fucking know. She's one of those quirky girls. So he's just tagging along because he wants to get laid. They go to the asylum. We're gonna call it the insane asylum. Clearly, that is not politically correct to call it anymore. I won't be able to correct myself, or if I do, I'm gonna have to edit out so many times of me going like, the mental facility. Just to save myself, we're just calling it asylum. I mean, the fucking season is called Asylum, so suck my nuts. I have my notes. This is our story time. In 1962, Briarcliff Manor is bought by the Catholic Church and turned into an insane asylum. Was at one point a tuberculosis ward hospital. They're exploring, they're wanting to have sex in just these gross, nasty places. Find like an old operating chair and she starts pulling her pants off and stuff. And I'm like, hello, TV, grimy, gross. The lead paint is chipping off the walls. Right before they're about to get it on, they hear a noise, a clanking, if you will. Teresa gets really excited. She says, oh my gosh, let's go look. He's like, okay, well, we're coming back here and we're gonna bang it out. Let's go look and then come right back here because
I want to have sex.
they get to this door and it's locked, but it has like a food tray slot. Theo opens it up, pointing his camera, and they're trying to shine the flashlight and record if anything is in there. All the while, Teresa is trying to give him a blowjob. something comes by and gets rid of his arm. That's what I'll say. But his arm is detached. So then they start freaking out. I should just go ahead and tell you, serial killer back in the day named Bloodyface. Present day, there's also a serial killer named Bloodyface. We will talk about the link between the two as we go on. There's a group of guys dressed as Bloodyface. They actually shoot Theo and Teresa. All the while, their stories being told throughout the season. But, okay, just they died. And the copycat killers die, and you find out there is one Bloodyface, and he is killing them all. Oh, God. The story itself is not bad. Can't watch it without being like, fucking Adam Levine. Okay, we are gonna go 2 years after it's bought to 1964. This is where we meet some pretty significant characters for the rest of this season. I almost said Tate. Kit Walker. I don't know why I didn't print off a better picture of that. We're gonna break the fourth wall a little bit. This is where you realize same actors, but we're switching characters completely, because for the longest time, I referred to this as Tate. I still do. Obviously, I just up. He is working at a gas station, is closing up one night, and some friends, they want to borrow a gun, and he says, we're just gonna go scare so-and-so. They're racist. Okay. They want to go scare somebody because they're black. Kit is like, no. And then they get on him because Kit is actually married in secret to a black woman, is Alma. They're married. Yay. Kit goes home, sees Alma, she's cooking up dinner. They start having sex. Well, they finish up, and then all of a sudden you see lights passing the window. Kit thinks it's the guys that came to his work. He runs out to confront them to be like, get the fuck off my property, you racist ass bitch. This is for Rachel, you racist ass bitch. It's not them. You hear Alma screaming her head off. Kit runs back inside. There's a deafening noise. Lights are flashing. Can't find Alma. Alma's gone. Everything just stops. Everything gets really quiet. And he's sitting there holding his head, and he sees pencil, and it just floats up to the ceiling. He sees a lampshade floats up to the ceiling. He floats up to the ceiling. What is going on? And then there's like this weird flash montage-y sort of thing where he's in a white place. He sees these creatures. They're like aliens. Is he getting probed? Is he... I don't know what's happening to him, but he is encountering some kind of being. Then it cuts to a couple days later. You meet Miss Lana Banana, Lana Winters. She is a reporter. She's visiting the asylum. She tells them that she would like to write a report about their bakery. Because I guess that they let the inmates work. Inmates? They're not inmates. They're like, isn't that so nice of us? We let them be normal. We let them join in. Honestly, it's kind of gross. They're not very hygienic at all. Like in the slightest bit. I don't think they bathe. So she shows up to the asylum and she meets Sister Jude, aka Judy Martin. When she first meets Sister Jude, she's having sort of a meeting with another patient named Shelly. Let me tell you, I had this haircut. When I was looking at this picture of her, I was like, part of me kind of misses it. I used to shave the side of my head and I had it this short. I'm not gonna do it, but I was thinking about it.
You wanna be on top?
The grow out was fucking awful. You see, Sister Jude is actually shaving Shelly's head, and it's just kind of setting the scene that if you do something wrong, they will do something to you. This is what Bloodyface is like when he is out on a spree. There have been a couple of murders that have been going on, all happening under the name of Bloodyface. And Kit Walker has been accused of being Bloodyface. Why? They cannot find Alma. From that night that her and Kit had, out of here, goodbye, she is nowhere to be found. Kit shows up at the asylum and he has to talk with a psychiatrist about whether or not he is fit to stand trial for these murders. If he is, he'll go to the chair and die. He will be fried. But if he is not, he will spend the rest of his days here at the asylum. Actually, the one that shows Miss I almost said Lana Del Rey. Lana Banana to Sister Jude is none other than Sister Mary Eunice. She is going to play a very interesting character in this season. She's depicted as being like this really timid, shy. She feels like she's being judged by Sister Jude. Sister Jude is the one that's taken her under her wing. There's a scene when they called you stupid.
And they said you were stupid.
Lana spills the beans and she says, I'm not here about the bakery. I know that I know that Kit is coming here. If I could get just a little conversation in with him, that would be amazing. I could write a story. Sister Jude is basically grilling Lana. She's like, you want to write a story? Here's your story.
You want a story? Write this down.
Stop. Run. Stop. We also meet reigning physician at... I almost said Arkham Asylum. This is Dr. Arden. Him and Jude do not get along. They actually, one might say, hate each other's guts. Sister Mary Eunice kind of whipped for Dr. Arden a little bit. He is also trying to recruit her. Dr. Arden has been doing some weird ass experiments on patients. Honest to God, I don't know what the fuck he's trying to do.
I've been working on an immune booster.
I don't know, but he keeps fucking people up. They are turning into rabid cannibals. They live right outside on the outskirts of the asylum, and he gets Sister Mary Eunice to go out there every night, give them raw meat. You find out pretty early on that Dr. Arden is not the best person ever. Sister Jude, she doesn't know anything about the experiments. She doesn't know anything about the experiments, but she's already got her backup. I don't like you. Sister Jude has a little bit of a crush on the Monsignor Timothy Howard. Monsignor, he's like the principal. So the whole staff answers to Sister Jude, who then has to answer to the Monsignor, pretty much. Monsignor is completely aware of Dr. Arden's experiments that he's doing, and he's like, we're not going to tell anybody about this, but go ahead and do it. If you get caught, it's not on me. You cannot pin this on me. This guy, he is one of my favorite characters. He's not a main character, but I love this guy to death. That is Frank, the security guard. Yeah, he doesn't really play that big of a role, but big enough for my heart. Is a patient by the name of Grace. I don't know how the fuck to pronounce her last name. Grace Blantois. She's French. Has been committed to the asylum. She has been accused of murdering her whole entire family with an axe. Whoa, Grace, whoa, girl. Last, but most certainly not least, this next one is up there with Frank as being my favorite character. Pepper. I love this girly. The first one that Lana actually runs into with Sister Mary Eunice outside. She has been committed there because apparently she drowned her sister's baby in the bathtub, cut its ears off. So anyway. Pepper's here, yay! Sister Jude, she's kind of in love with the Monsignor. She would do anything for this man. He says at one point, she's like, I would follow you all the way to the Vatican. They're having dinner one night. She expresses her concerns about Dr. Arden. She's like, I think he's crooked as hell. And Monsignor's like, no, he's not. The church approved him. He's fine. All the while, he knows. Kit goes into, I think it's called the day room, and another patient ends up starting to fight with him because he's heard that he's the bloody face. Kit actually befriends Grace Boutois. They throw Kit into a solitary. Grace comes to his aid by sliding him some food. Kit is like, what are you in for? And she says, they think I murdered my family. An attacker that came in and killed the family, but pinned it on me. It looks like I did it. Later on, Lana is at home with her significant other, and you find out
She's gay.
we have to remember it's 1964. This cannot fly. She's at home having dinner with her significant other, Wendy. Lana says, I gotta get back in there. I can't let this story go. This could be my biggest break I've ever had. The next day or two, meets up and corners Sister Mary Eunice outside while she is out feeding the experiments for Dr. Arden, smoking a cigarette. She looks fly as hell. Side note, when she's not in the asylum, her outfits are on point. But anyway, she's looking like a total girl boss, smoking a cigarette. She's like, what are you doing? You know a way into the asylum. I need to get in. Sister Mary Eunice has a secret passageway through a tunnel system. So that is how Lana sneaks back in. Well, Miss Thing gets caught. Jude finds out about it, and she finds out also about her relationship. Lana is committed for homosexuality. That is where we really get cooking, guys. Okay. Lana's like, Wendy, my woman, she'll come get me. She has to come get me. Sister Jude was like, no, she's not. I went to your house. She signed the paper to put you here. So she would rather put Lana away in the asylum than have people know that they're together. Dr. Thredson, he is the court-appointed psychiatrist that is here to talk to Kit, trying to determine, again, if Kit is fit to stand trial. They start their conversation. Dr. Thredson goes up to Jude. He says, I've seen the conditions here. They're fucking awful. This is disgusting. And so he's already getting under her skin. And she's like, what are you going to do about it? Mother and a father that bring their son, they go to Sister Jude. He actually kind of walks in on this meeting, and she's like, get the fuck out of here. But then the parents are like, no, actually, it would be nice if we had a psychiatrist. They say, need help with our son. There's something wrong with him. The father says that he saw the son, Jed, carved open the stomach of one of their cows on the farm and was eating the heart raw. And then he was also speaking in a language that he had never heard before. They take Jed to the asylum. They strap him down to the bed. Long story long, they're having an exorcist here in the asylum. They're having an exorcism here in the asylum. They have given Lana, they give her electroshock therapy to try and get rid of the gay. Lana is sitting in the day room. She's jotting down notes just to remember things. Once I get out of here, I'm fucking blowing the lid off this place. Grace catches her and she says, put it away. If they catch you with anything, you're gonna get more. Shock. Anyway, they start to form a relationship. Lana lets Grace know that there's a tunnel system to get out of the asylum. So then Grace is like, you can tell me and we can both leave together, but I also would like to bring Kit. We need to get Kit out of here. Lana don't like that. Lana does not trust Kit right off the bat. I feel like I'm out of breath. While the exorcism is happening, it is just fucking up the power. Power in the asylum is starting to get a little faulty and just dies. Power's gone. All of the doors open up. So that gives Lana and Grace the chance to get out of there. Kit shows up. Lana's like, I told you no. I told you this is not happening. This part actually kind of made me laugh. It's not a funny scene. I think because I saw it with a meme one time, and so I just associate it with being funny. Grace and Kit start running away. Lana just goes, he's a skank! Kit, Grace, they get caught, and we'll continue on with their story in just a second, but with the exorcism going on, they're taking a break, and Sister Jude comes into the room to just sit with the boy, and the boy starts bringing up things from Sister Jude's past, things that nobody should know about because she buried these secrets. We have a time jump, ladies and gents. In 1949, Sister Jude, who was just Judy Martin at the time, holy crap, used to be a singer, just kind of like all these dive bars, and just was sleeping around drunk. One night she's driving home and this little girl is out walking in the streets, which honestly, when I look back at it, she had to have been leaving the bar probably 1 a.m, maybe just after midnight. And there's this little girl walking around and she gets hit by a car, Judy's car. She doesn't get out and just drives away. So that is her dirty little secret she had. What the hell was that little girl doing walking around at night? The exorcism is taking place and the boy Jed brings this up. There's no fucking way this like 14-year-old boy even know about that. So Sister Jude is like, she starts slapping him around. She's like, shut up, shut up. The Monsignor, the preacher, Dr. Thredson, they all come back in, get Jude out of here. Sister Mary Eunice is showing up too. They exorcise the devil out of the boy. It basically kills him. The devil leaves the boy's body and enters Sister Mary Eunice. This queen. Kit and Grace are brought into Sister Jude's office. They are about to get their lashings for trying to leave, and Lana is there because Sister Jude is like, I need to thank you for catching these people, so I'm gonna have you choose their punishment. Lana's like, I'm so sorry, Grace, and she goes, you Judas bitch. There's some tension between them, and Kit is trying to prove to Lana the whole time he didn't kill anybody. You find out also Shelly down here, she is a nymphomaniac. She likes sex. Her story actually gets married to a guy who's in a band. She says that her husband is allowed to sleep around all the time and nothing ever gets done about it. The second that she has a threesome with 2 Navy guys, then it's a problem, and her husband commits her to the asylum. Wow, double standards. Lana tells Thredson, I really just need you to get this letter out to the outside. I need you to go see Wendy and let her know I forgive her if she can just come and get me. Lana and Thredson, they start having a rapport. Sister Mary Eunice, girl boss, she is possessed by the devil. Like I said, there is a Mexican woman who is relentlessly praying because she can sense the devil is inside. She says, come on, let's pray together. It's so, oh my God, she serves the whole time. Pray it all the way. They get down. She's crying her eyes out, saying the prayer in Spanish, turns around, slits her throat. She kills the Mexican lady. While Sister Mary Eunice is just going on the rampage of the century, she is trying to seduce Dr. Arden. She can tell because she's the devil and the devil knows everything. She can tell that Dr. Arden really loves Sister Mary Eunice. This man is a fucking freak. Okay, for many reasons. He hires this prostitute. He hires her because she looks like Sister Mary Eunice and has her dress up in a nun's uniform. What do you call it? Habit. There's one scene, I always remember this line. The first time I heard it, I was like, what? He says, lay down on the bed, pull your skirt up, and he says, no. I can't say it.
Show me your mossy bank.
Ew. Sister Mary Eunice brings in the mail one day, and it's a newspaper clipping from when? 1949. Why the fuck am I getting a newspaper from 1949 in 1964? And what does it have on there as the headline? Girl gets hit in a hit and run. Sister Jude is like, where did this come from? And Mary Eunice is like, the mailman? Sister Jude is like, who knows? Who else knows about this? We have a nor'easter coming, people. If you look to your left, you'll see the nor'easter rolling in a big old storm. Sister Jude is planning a movie night for the patients to kind of calm their nerves, and we are going to watch, what the fuck was the movie called? It's some old Christian movie where like a bunch of Christians die. Jude, she is drunk off her ass. She has been tasting the communion wine. When she introduces the picture, she is sauced. Introduces the movie, and then she goes and passes out. While the movie is playing, Lana Grace, and Kit. They use this night as a chance to try and escape. They excuse themselves, they sneak out, whatever they have to do to get to the tunnels. Shelly also finds herself with them. She's like, if y'all are going, I'm going too. I don't want to be in here anymore. Out to a corner, they see the orderly, and Shelly's like, I'll distract him. He wants sex. I give him sex all the time, so I can distract him. Y'all get out. Wait for me if you can. If you can't, she tells Lana, write an article that's going to blow the doors off this place so you can get me out of here that way. Shelly gets left behind. Lana, Kit, and Grace make it outside. And what do they see out there? Dr. Arden's experiments, these cannibalistic creatures. They get scared. They come back into the asylum. Why they didn't just run the other way, I don't know. But if it were me, I would fucking chance it. But that's just me. Shelly runs into Dr. Arden. Arden is like, you're giving it up to everybody. I want some now. And she's like, I don't want to do it. He is trying to her. She turns around, sees his thing really small. And she's like, how the f do you have that small of a dick? You are a giant. You should be... Anyway, he gets really insecure, ends up knocking her out. He wakes up on the operating table. He says, tried to run away, so I had to clip your wings. She pulls back the cloth. Dr. Arden has taken Shelly's legs off. We have another character add to the list. This woman, her real name is Charlotte, but she comes to the asylum. She claims to be Anne Frank. World War II, Diary of Anne Frank, that one. They saw a play while she was pregnant with her son about Anne Frank, and she just became obsessed and then started taking on the persona of Anne Frank. She started referring to herself as Anne Frank. She tattooed numbers on her arm like she was in Auschwitz. Her husband was like, she won't hold the baby. She won't even acknowledge that we have a baby together. The baby is crying because he's colic, and it's driving her nuts. I'm going to refer to her as Anne Frank because that's what she calls herself. So Anne is sitting in the day room. In walks Dr. Arden. Anne recognizes Dr. Arden, and she says, you were there in Auschwitz. And Anne tells Sister Jude that Dr. Arden is not Dr. Arden. He is actually a man named Hans Gruber. He was a Nazi. He was at one of the camps. She says that he would come in, he would bring chocolates and sweets, little things for some of the girls, and act really nice and sweet towards them. And he would take them out to do something. They never say what. When they would come back, they were different. They were not here. The lights are on, but nobody's home. Sister Jude actually starts to believe her. So Sister Jude ends up hiring, I guess he could be kind of a spy detective sort of thing. Sister Jude goes and talks to this man, and she explains what has been claimed. He does some digging. He's like, yes, that is Hans Gruber. And yes, he was in Auschwitz. She's like, holy shit. She was there? Miss Anne Frank. She gets into Dr. Arden's, I almost said performance center, surgical operation room. Anne has got a gun at some point. She nicked it from Frank. Frank. And so she's going in there to Dr. Arden, put him up toots. She ends up finding Shelly, and Shelly is like, please just fucking kill me. Because remember, Dr. Arden, he's been doing experiments on her. She is fucked up. She is toe up from the flow up. Anne has seen Shelly. That's no. Sister Mary Eunice actually takes Shelly to a schoolyard and dumped her body in the schoolyard. They take her to the hospital. The Monsignor comes, reads her last rites, but actually strangles Shelly with his rosary. Because remember, Monsignor, he's glued into the experiments. Shelly, womp womp, she died. Anne's husband comes back to the asylum. He says, I need her home. The baby needs her. Explained, your name is Charlotte. This is our baby. He shows her a picture of the baby. So she goes home. A couple days later, he brings her back. She actually ends up trying to drown the baby, hurt the baby in some way. So the husband is like, what do we do? Dr. Arden gets permission to perform a lobotomy on Charlotte/Anne Frank. I was surprised it took us this long to get to a lobotomy in this episode, or in this season. I really thought that lobotomies were going to be happening left and right. Charlotte is back home, and she looks like she's Mother of the Year. Everything looks fine. Anyway, it seems like everything's back to normal. But it brings to light Dr. Arden and his past. Lana is working with Dr. Thredson. They try some conversion therapy, some kind of drug in an IV drip. This medicine that he's giving her is making her violently sick. He's showing her pictures of naked women. Psychologically, when she sees a naked woman, it'll be like a knee-jerk reaction to throw up. If I see boobies, I will throw up. Hey, guess what? It doesn't work. My back is hurting. He lets Lana know he will be getting her out of the asylum soon. When his work is done here with Tate, he will get Lana out. So she's like, yeah, I'm getting out of here. We have Dr. Thredson in one last attempt. He tells Kit, I can help you out, but you just have to confess to these murders and really make me believe it. He's like, we can get you, I'll take care of it. Just confess. Kit believes him because why wouldn't he? Dr. Arden is fucking ticked at Jude. So then the police got involved and they were doing background checks on Arden. And so anyway, they couldn't really find anything because somebody went and killed the detective. Who? Sister Mary Eunice. The police, they were on Dr. Arden's tail just a little bit, but when the detective died and their lead died, pretty much they were like, well, f it, who cares? Long story long, he is ticked at Jude. If you try me again, I'm gonna expose you. I'm gonna tear you down. She gets scared. You remember? She's still got this secret hiding. She goes off on a bender. Dr. Thredson ends up getting Lana out of the asylum, and he takes her to his house. Guys, this is where things take a turn, and it gets so good. When they first get there, she tries to call Wendy. He's like, no, don't make any phone calls. We'll go to the police, but let's lay low. Don't call anybody right now. So he says, you want a mint? He passes her a bowl. What the fuck does that bowl look like? A skull. She's like, she excuses herself to go to the bathroom. While she goes to look for the bathroom, she's actually looking in all of the doors of the Thredson household. We're trying to find a way out. Dr. Thredson shows up behind her. He's like, do you recognize what all this stuff is made out of? All this material in my house? It's made out of human flesh and skin and hair and skulls and bones. Flips a switch, a trap door opens up. She falls down into the basement. Oh, Dr. Thredson is Bloody Face. Are you kidding me? I was screaming. I was hooting and hollering. Was losing it the first time I ever saw this. And yeah, he got Tate to confess and he took it to the police. Has gone into custody. He's going to go sit on Old Sparky and fry. This is television. Alana is down in the basement of this house of horrors. She finds something down there that is so horrific. Her lover, Wendy, dead. When Dr. Thredson said that he went to go see if he could get in touch with Wendy, he killed her. Did nasty stuff with her body, sexually. Explains he has just got some fucking mommy issues. He was put up for adoption. He went to med school. There was a cadaver the students were trying to learn about. One of them made a joke saying, this is as close to a girl as you're ever gonna get. Thredson was like, comes back into that cadaver after the classes ended. He starts pleasuring himself with it, and that is kind of where his weird, twisted interests began. All the girls that were listed for the Bloody Face murder, one of them worked at his dentist's office and would follow these women and just learn their patterns and then attack them. Then he ends up R-wording Lana. Eventually, Lana finds a way to get out of the house. She gets picked up by this random guy driving a car. Actually, she runs out in the middle of the road to get him to stop. She gets into the car. Okay, I need you to take me to the police. And he's like, you got in my car? We're going where I want to go? He's having a bit of a rough night. This man has found out that his wife, 15 years, was found cheating. You women are all the same. Lana's sitting there like, can you just take me to the police? This man pulls out a gun, kills himself. Lana and the man end up in a car accident, and she wakes up back in the asylum. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, I totally didn't even talk about Kit and Grace at one point were caught having sex with one another. So Sister Jude is like, y'all are getting sterilized. You're getting your things cut off. Gets excused for one reason or another. I can't remember. When Grace goes in for her sterilization, it's really hard to tell what's happening. Truthfully, Grace's timeline kind of confuses me. Like, she gets abducted by the aliens and then comes back and she is sick as fuck, about to die, and then starts to make a recovery. She's sitting in the bakery one day. Kit, who has been in custody, he actually bopped one of the police officers over the head and was able to escape from custody. And then he goes back to the asylum, try and get Grace out. And so they're in the kitchen. Frank walks in, sees Kit Walker, and he's like, oh my god, there's a manhunt out for you. Pulls out the gun, shoots, but he does not hit Kit Walker. Grace jumps in front of Kit, takes the bullet. There is another character here that we gotta talk about. There's a character that shows up. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Shakach, I don't know, but she's the angel of death. When people are ready to die, all upon her she comes, she kisses them, and she takes them away. I'm gonna call her Kiss of Death. When Grace gets hit with the bullet, Kiss of Death, she comes and she plants one on Grace, takes Grace away. Grace is dead. Right? So all the while that went on, Judy Martin has paid a visit. The girl's family. And she says, when the accident happened, I was really questioning my faith, and it actually was one of the reasons why I went to become a nun. Trying to get her own form of closure. Well, the girl didn't die that night. The girl, who is now a grown woman with a child, walks in while Sister Jude is sitting there with the family. Sister Jude is just like, she is just, her world is rocked. All right, so now we're gonna skip ahead to Christmas. We're almost there, people. There's another character to add to the list. Lee. He is a Santa Claus killer. In 1962, Lee Emerson went on a killing spree and he killed 18 from 5 different families, including a Salvation Army Santa Claus, committed in 1963. Sister Jude is teaching him a lesson by putting him in solitary confinement. Doesn't see the sunlight, is fed mush, left in his own filth, pretty much. He does not really like Sister Jude all that much. Sister Mary Eunice, to stir up some shit, has Lee come out of solitary confinement, dress up as Santa, play Santa for the patients there. It is seen that Dr. Arden is really worrying about Sister Mary Eunice. He tells that to Jude. She thinks that they're kind of in cahoots with one another. We can take her down. It was all a ruse. Sister Mary Eunice has gotten to Dr. Arden first. We need to get Sister Jude alone with Lee. Lock her in her own office with Mr. Lee Emerson. Let him go to town. He is fed up with Jude, so he's like thinking of all the ways that he could just beat the shit out of her. Sister Jude ends up stabbing him, and Sister Jude herself ends up being stripped away of the title of sister. She has no sister status. She's a sister in our hearts, and she becomes a patient. Remember I told you that Lana has come back to the asylum? She meets up with Kit because Kit has been put there as well after the whole shootout with Grace. She tells everything about Dr. Thredson. Dr. Thredson shows up at the asylum. Gag. I would shit my pants. I would be sitting there shitting, constant shit running down my leg if I saw this man walk in one way or another. They actually get Dr. Thredson tied up. Sister Mary Eunice calls Lana into her office, and she got a report back from when she was in the accident. They got medical files on her, and she says, "Congratulations, you're pregnant." I'm sorry, what? Lana Del Rey. Have I been calling her Lana this whole time? I'm sorry. Lana Banana is pregnant with Dr. Thredson's child. Now she's got some leverage to get Dr. Thredson to confess. Kit is sitting behind some mattresses with a tape recorder, and Lana, she tells Dr. Thredson, "You got me pregnant? I'm gonna kill this baby if you don't confess. Just admit to me what you've done." Because he's having like some kind of PTSD because, you know, he was dropped off as a baby, didn't have any parents. He was like, I cannot let that happen to my own child. So he confesses, and like why he did the things that he did, the way that he did the things that he did, how he killed, pops up with the tape recorder. He's like, I got it. Thredson is fucked. Dr. Thredson is like, "So I guess that was all a ruse. You're not even pregnant at all." And she said, "Oh no, I was pregnant. Not anymore. I got rid of it with a coat hanger." And so he's like, "You are fucking sick." Like, that is too much for him. Find out, actually, it didn't work. She is still pregnant, and Sister Mary Eunice is able to tell. She puts her hand over her belly, and she says, "It's a boy." And this is going to be our last character that we're going to introduce. He has actually been woven into the season as it plays Johnny Morgan. He is the son of Bloodyface. In some of the episodes earlier on, he's talking to a therapist that he found, wants to pick up the family tradition. He says, "I didn't go to medical school like my father, so when I kill, I make a fucking mess, and I'm leaving too much of a trace." He's not really looking for help. The obvious problem that he has, he's looking for help to be like, how do I not do it so messy? He's like, no, I'm gonna keep killing. They're like cut from the same cloth. After Jude was committed, Sister Mary Eunice puts Lee back in solitary. Frank is the one that brings Lee in there. Frank turns around. Love you, Frank. Sister Mary Eunice is there, slits the man's throat. They end up pinning that murder on Judy Martin, so that way they could have a reason to commit her. Dr. Arden is taking Grace's body through the body chute because remember, she got shot, she died, yeah? In this crate, light fixtures are going off, the electricity's buzzing. He sees the aliens. Everything's quiet. He looks in the crate. Grace's body is gone. He confesses to Kit, "You were claiming you saw aliens and all this shit. We didn't believe you, but I've seen them, and I want to bring them back. And you're gonna help me." When it comes to the alien aspect of the season, it gets a little fuzzy to me, I'm not gonna lie. But they find out that if Kit is near death, the aliens will come back. Or if Kit has sex, the aliens will show up. Basically take you to the brink of death. You will die. If I inject you with another medicine, hit you in the chest, I can bring you back to life. They do that. When Kit is dead, it brings the aliens back. Dr. Arden, he goes into another room and he finds Grace pretty much ready to pop with a fucking baby. But who else is with her? My girl, Pepper ran off during the movie night. And that was the last time you saw her. Pepper must have gotten abducted by the aliens at some point, but they don't really touch. I wish they would have kind of hinted at that a little bit more. Just like, no, she just left because she had to pee in the middle of the movie. But Pepper comes back and she can speak in full sentences, eloquent and knowledgeable. She's been learnt good. She's got her education, okay? Protector, the caregiver really of Grace while she is going through her pregnancy. Arden, he revives Kit. I don't know why I just hit that, sorry. Grace delivers the baby. Kit finds out that he's a dad now. Woo! While Grace was in this abductive sort of state, who does she see while she's with the aliens? Alma's alive. When Grace meets up with Kit finally, after she's been shot, killed, and then impregnated by the aliens and then given birth, she meets up with Kit in the day room. He sees his child for the first time. He's like, I want to name him Thomas after my grandfather. Oh, I should also say, she actually did kill her family. Wow, we are way past that point. But to help her cope, she kind of created this story that an intruder came into the house and killed the rest of her family. So she actually should be in the asylum. I bring that up because while they're sitting there with the child, the Monsignor comes in and he's like, we're ready to take the child. Kit and Grace are like, what do you mean? We can take care of him. And they're like, no, you're an axe murderer. And as far as they know, he's bloody faced. They take the baby. And all the while, Lee gets in touch with the Monsignor. He says to just have a clean slate and I would like to be baptized. Goes to baptize Lee. He does. And then as soon as he's done, Lee turns around and tries to fucking kill the Monsignor. He doesn't do it, but he does nail him up to the cross through the hands like Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Monsignor's laying in bed in the infirmary. And who comes in there? Well, she ends up whipping him. At that point, the Monsignor can tell something is up with Mary Eunice. He's like, that is not my president. This is where we get one of American Horror Story's most iconic scenes, and that would be the name game. The name game. Judy. Anyway, this entire season, endlessly, from as soon as the day room is open until they go to sleep at night, there is one song playing. It's a French song, and I have no idea what it's saying. It's like, Dominique, Jude has had it with that song. She busts the record. Sister Mary Eunice brings in a jukebox. Sister Judy Martin picks out a song. The name game. Her meds. She's having a little hallucination where she is performing for all of these patients inside of the day room. They're having a real hootenanny. Well, then it ends. Lana is there. They're starting to see each other as kind of equal after the name game. And she's like, do you know your name? It's one of those moments where you're like, this is so fucking sad. The Monsignor, he finds Sister Mary Eunice and he starts talking to her. He knows that she's the devil. Sister Mary Eunice herself kind of shows herself for a second. She starts crying. Monsignor takes Sister Mary Eunice, pushes her over the stairwell. She dies. Kiss of death comes by, takes her kiss. Sister Mary Eunice has died in 1964. Dr. Arden cannot take it. Remember, he loves Sister Mary Eunice. She is going to be cremated. He joins her and burns himself alive. That is the end of Dr. Arden. Sister Jude gets in touch with one of her other superiors. Her name was Mother Claudia. Lets Mother Claudia know that Lana is here by mistake. She should never have been here in the first place. Mother Claudia ends up getting in touch with Lana. I'm getting you out of here. Get your stuff. She gets the tape that her and Kit recorded of the confession of Dr. Thredson. This, I'm not kidding you, this is the most iconic scene in all of American Horror Story. Kit is distracting Dr. Thredson on the staircase. He's just going back and forth because he sees Lana coming down the stairs fully dressed and he's like, what's going on? She's like, shut the fuck up. Dr. Thredson runs out. Lana is in the car, smashes the tape up against the window, gives him the finger, and drives away. It is so, yes! Lana Del Rey, get out of here! Dr. Thredson heads home. Lana is already waiting there for him. I've already called the police. You're dead. She's got a gun pointed at him the whole time. So he's like, I'm just going to make myself a drink. There's going to be no alcohol where I'm going. Anyway, they start going back and forth. Lana kills Dr. Thredson, shoots him dead in his own house. She gets Kit out. Kit gets Grace out. Kit takes Grace and the baby. They end up getting the baby back. They got their baby back. Go back home to Kit's original home. They go in and they see Alma sitting there with another baby. Yeah, he has had a baby girl. Unfortunately, Jude is still in the asylum. Pepper is still there too. Her and Pepper end up having a pretty good friendship, and they buddy cop almost. Jude is visited by the Monsignor one last time. He says, I have been promoted to Cardinal and I'm moving up to New York. I will get you out of here. I'm going to send somebody back down here to get you out of the system. There's an overflow population sort of thing happening with the local prison, and so they're going to have to take on some extra inmates. Now, these are actual inmates. They come and join the asylum. What looks like the kiss of death. Judy has had her run in with the kiss of death at some point, but she was not ready to go. Is one of these inmates that walks in, and she's like, I'm going to run this place now. I'm in charge. You're going to listen to me. We're going to be butt buddies. I don't know what her name is that is now in charge. And she says, well, what about Pepper? Put me with Pepper. Well, Pepper's dead. She's been dead for 2 years. She died 2 years ago. You were very upset when she died. Judy has been so doped up and mentally just has blurred all of her years together. And she says, Monsignor should be coming to pick me up. He just told me the other day, going up to New York, being Cardinal, we're going to go live out our days. That she's having the meeting with is like, he is the Cardinal, but he ain't coming back for you, bitch. She just loses the last bit of sanity she had. Grace, Kit, and Alma. Tensions are getting a little high. The kids are now a little bit older, 5 or 6 at this point. Grace has an obsession with these aliens, drawing pictures and wanting to talk about it with the kids. Alma wants to forget it. I don't want the kids to know about it. They shouldn't know about this stuff. It was horrible. Absolutely nightmare fuel. Kit is just in the middle, and he's like, I don't know what to fucking do. But one night, unfortunately, Alma has a breaking point, and she ends up killing Grace with an axe. How ironic. Taken to the prison, but you remember I told you that the prison had an overflow? So then she is one of the inmates that ends up in the asylum. She ends up getting very sick, and she dies in the asylum. Lana is out living her best life. So Lana releases a book, Her Encounter with Bloody Face. It becomes a best-selling book. She gets really famous and popular and successful. She ends up meeting up with Tate. A couple years later, they find each other, where Lana really shows her true colors, but she becomes a bitch. Her and Kit have a conversation one day. He explains to her, like, I thought you were going to write about the asylum. I thought you were going to get the asylum itself shut down. What happened to all of us in there? You didn't write about Shelley. What about her? And so she's like, well, I'm sorry. I don't want to write about that. Kit also tells that he has been going to visit with Judy Martin. He found her when he was visiting Alma at the oh my God. Kit takes Jude home to live with him and the 2 kids. Judy only lives for about maybe 6 months there. Finally gets her kiss from the kiss of death. Lana actually ends up making a documentary where she goes back into the asylum to expose it, and it is a filthy pigsty, the worst of the worst. Fun fact, there is a documentary that exposed one of the asylums, and I think this is what it was based on. If you were able to find it, I think it's on YouTube somewhere. It was made in like the 70s, I believe. Okay, so she made the documentary about the asylum shut down. A Monsignor, he ended up getting a lot of flack for it because he was in charge of the whole thing. He can't take it. Monsignor, actually Cardinal Timothy Howard, kills himself in the bathtub. He slits his own wrist and dies. Find out in Kit's last couple of years, he ended up getting remarried. I think his wife ended up dying a couple years later, like 10 years later. He ended up getting pancreatic cancer or something like that. Lana went to visit with him a couple of times. She said that his kids wanted to stay there with him, but he did not want that. They said that they went to go check on him. The house was empty, no trace of him at all. And you see him sitting in a wheelchair. He wheels himself up, shining, shaky, bright light. And it's just assumed the aliens have come to take him back. Kit is probably dead, no longer here. I don't know. We could see him in season 24 of American Horror Story. I don't know. Johnny, he has found the book. It's called Maniac. It was written about his dad. He is dressing up as Bloody Face, and he was the one that killed Theo and Teresa and also the copycat murderers. This is modern day. So Lana has gotten older. He's doing an interview of it's like a greatest hits kind of interview. Johnny has found a spot on the crew. When the crew for the interview leaves, he stays behind. They have their first meeting because when Lana gave birth, she didn't want to see the baby at all. She breastfed him one time because the nurse couldn't get him to stop crying. They have a moment, brings up why he hates her, why he loves his dad. Because after reading the book and everything like that, he's like, I think you're the villain. Get new icons, babe. He has a gun and he's ready to kill Lana. Again, like she did with Thredson when she was in his house of horrors. He kind of feeds into it a little bit to get out of the situation. She's like, it's okay, baby. Come here. I'll mother you. I'll be your mom. She gets the gun, turns it around, bah, kills Johnny. Lana is the sole survivor, except for Anne Frank. Whatever happened to Lee? I don't know what happened to him. It closes out with that song that Dominique and Nikki do. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of season 2. Thank you. I have been recording 2.5 hours. It'll be absolutely amazing, a miracle, if I'm able to edit this in some kind of cohesive way. I truly will need a pat on the back for that. Again, I will get this all organized. Also, I finally realized I could take off the little holder that's on my microphone and it makes it like 2 pounds lighter. Okay, next up, we're gonna do Coven, but I am going to bed. I'm sure my neighbors are listening to me like, what the fuck is she talking about? They probably think I'm insane. All right, bye. What are you looking at? Well, sweaties, here we are. I am so tired. It's only 8 o'clock right now. Let's see how long this takes me to record this part of the video. So sleepy. But I wanted to go ahead and get this done so we could get this video up. Clearly, we're doing season 3 of American Horror Story, which is, oh, that was cute. I didn't mean to do that. We're gonna do season 3 of American Horror Story, Coven. Go ahead and get my ranking up there. This is going to be a very unpopular opinion, so brace yourself. I have my reasons. Look, okay, just amongst all the AHS girlies, this season is the most watched season, and for most people, it is their favorite season. I don't like this season, okay? When like the first 4 or 5 seasons came out, this was at the very bottom of my list. Having said all that, when I rewatched it this time around, I did enjoy it a little bit more. This ranking was a lot lower, so this is pretty generous for me. This season was just, it was kind of corny. It was kind of corny. Compared to me being as serious as I am right now. I think a big thing for me was that this came out around the same time was the show Scream Queens. Our Lord and Savior Ryan Murphy, the creator of American Horror Story, to me fumbled the bag hard with Scream Queens. I can't fucking stand that show. And a big reason is Emma Roberts. I'm sorry. Okay. Whoa, what did I do? Maybe that's karma. And she's with you right now. I am not an Emma Roberts fan, so maybe that swayed my opinion. I could go on and on, but do you really care? There's not that many time jumps. There's a little bit more than Asylum, but way less than Murder House. I'm gonna explain it a little bit like how I explain both seasons. We're gonna start off chronologically, and then when we get to modern day, I'll explain all the characters that you need to know about. Let's get started, bitch. Also, my apartment is hot as hell, so I had to open the window because it's actually colder outside. If you hear stuff outside, that's what that is. The year is 1692, and what the hell is happening in America? That's right, the Salem witch trials. Dun dun dun. If you are not familiar with the Salem witch trials, you must be living under a rock. During the Salem witch trials, the supreme witch at the time, I will talk about that in just a second. Her name was Prudence Mathers. She gathers her witches and invokes the sacred taking. Her suicide allowed a new supreme to rise and lead the coven away from Salem, eventually settling in New Orleans. A supreme. We need to learn this as our vocab word, okay? The almighty witch. Like, she possesses all of the 7 powers that you need to master. There's a test that you have to take called the 7 Wonders. I'll talk more about it in depth as we get to modern day, but basically a test, obviously, that you have these certain powers, but also that you can control them. Not just willy-nilly. Get a hold. Get a grip. Okay, so after they find their new supreme, they gather up all the witches they can find, and they move from Salem, Massachusetts, and they go all the way down to New Orleans, Louisiana. All right, next up, we got 1790. That is a long time ago. I'm just going to put, I almost fell. Did you see that? Put Miss Rose. So in 1790, they established Miss Robichaux, I'm going to get this wrong. Hang on, let me read my notes. Miss Robichaux's Academy for Exceptional Young Ladies. It's a new haven for young witches disguised as a finishing school or like a boarding school. That is where our story predominantly will take place. I'm just going to refer to it as the Academy because saying Miss Robichaux's is going to be, I stutter enough on my own. I don't need it. Okay. 1830, we're going to meet our first character of this season, Madame Delphine Lalaurie. This is an actual real person, and she's fucking insane. It's Miss Kathy Bates, oh my god! I'm gonna call her Lalaurie, even though I wrote Delphine. Whatever. Oh my god. Did you see that? She moves here to New Orleans with her husband and her 3 daughters. I truly cannot remember all the names of them. I think one of them is named Delphine and one is named Borquita. The other one, I don't remember. After she moves down to New Orleans, I wrote down she develops her sadistic passion for torturing her black slaves. It's brutal. I don't know how one person could actually think of doing something like this to another human being. And again, I don't know if this, from here on out, I'm not talking about the real Lalaurie. I don't know who the told her, but they said that if you get dark blood, she uses it as a facial pretty much. She does her skincare routine with a bowl of blood. She didn't have as many time jumps, but look at all this. Jesus Christ. In 1833, at one of the Halloween balls at the Lalaurie mansion, she scares off her daughter Borquita's suitor by taking him to a chamber of horrors where you want them to marry, but then she goes around and scares the shit out of all the people, all the guys that are lining up to marry them. She took this one guy as a Halloween trick, has him put his hand in a bowl of eyeballs. Okay, thanks. And the daughters are like, what the fuck, dude? Well, how are we gonna marry anybody if you keep scaring them away? And she's basically like, get over it. So that's all happening. Oh, I should put... Okay, so in 1834, the next year, Madame Lalaurie, one of her house slaves, was caught fornicating with one of her daughters. Lalaurie, she don't like that. She's like, okay. This is like worst case scenario. I would be like, you know what, I'm gonna go kill myself. His name is Bastien. She ends up chaining him up in torture chamber in the attic, and she makes him wear hollowed out bull's head, and she explains that her father used to read her stories of mythical creatures and that the Minotaur, that's the best picture I could find, really. That the Minotaur was her favorite. Head of a bull, body of a man. He will come into play later. And this is also where you meet very, very important character and also another real person. Marie Laveau. She is the voodoo queen. If you look up voodoo, you will come across her name. I will say they killed it with the outfits and visuals. Bastien is actually Laveau's lover. And she goes upstairs, finds Bastien with his head inside of a bowl. And she's like, oh my fucking God. She's having a moment. And Lalaurie is always looking for she needs a new skincare routine, okay? She wants to look younger. She wants to stay youthful. Laveau says, I got just a thing for you. I've got a little potion. It's gonna help. So she does. She drinks it. She starts coughing, hacking up. She's choking. She looks like she's about to die. Marie Laveau has poisoned Madame Lalaurie. He gave her a vial of her own tears. She said, oh my God, it hurts so much. Yeah, bitch, because she's in pain. Okay, she's in pain. I should also mention while we're talking about her, she's immortal. She can't die. We'll get into her story about that later on. She says, it's my tears, and now you will also be immortal. Lalaurie says, like, where are my girls? Where's my husband? Up there. They're right up there in a row. She hung all three of her girls and her husband on the side of the house. Fate is sealed. You will live out the remainder of your time on this earth, which is forever. You are going to stay inside this casket, and we're going to bury it, cover it with cement, build stuff on top of you. Whatever happens, I don't care. You're stuck in the ground, bitch. In 1834, Lalaurie is buried alive. Okay. Oh my God. I feel like Meryl Streep when in the Devil Wears Prada, where she's like, why is no one ready?
Is no one ready?
We're jumping ahead to 1919. There is a serial killer that is afoot in New Orleans, and this also did actually happen, and his name is the Axeman. And let me tell you, I had to give this man one of the biggest pictures. Mr. Danny Houston, yes, look at him carrying the axe. You know that trend on TikTok that's like, hear me out. This is my hear me out. Okay, shut up. I love him, and he is my favorite part of this entire season, and he does nothing wrong, absolutely. The Axeman, real person, real thing, real serial killer. American Horror Story has its liberties with his story, truthfully. Put an ad out into the newspaper. This actually did happen, where he says, I've been going on a killing spree, and I will kill again if every house in New Orleans is not playing jazz music, have a live jazz band, just playing any kind of jazz. I don't care. Or I will come into the house and I will kill. What the hell was that noise? So the town is kind of in an uproar. The Coven gets wind of this. Some of them are scared. Some of them are like, well, we should definitely be playing music. Some of them are saying, no, why would we? We're witches. We're stronger. We can take this fool. And so they make it a mission to actually lure in. That's a hard word to say. Lure in the Axeman so that they can take care of business. So on the night of whatever date it was, I don't remember, he's walking through town, hears everybody's music playing. The streets are filled with jazz. You like jazz? Then he gets right outside of the academy, dead quiet. He's like,
Bitch.
he walks up in there. They trick him. They twick him. It's a bit of twickery in one way or the... Oh, shit. That scared me. The whole coven ends up stabbing the Axeman and he dies. Another time jump. I'm gonna run out of so much. Okay, I didn't think this through. 1940. I was debating on whether or not to even print off this woman's picture because she's not in the show very much. Miss Anna Lee Layton takes her test, the 7 wonders, performs them all, and she becomes the newest Supreme. Yeah! I ended up printing off her picture because I love her style. I really like it. Between the 1960s and the 1970s, there's a war between White Witches, the Coven, and Laveau. So they settle a deal. Anna Lee Layton and Miss Marie Laveau have a truce. They say, don't come into my territory and we'll leave each other alone. It's very much Twilight, like the treaty that they sign in Twilight. You stay on your side, we'll stay on our side. All right, so 1971, right over here. We have a new character to add to our list. None other than Miss Fiona Good. Slay. She showed up when she was probably like, I don't know, maybe 10 or so. And she believes she was going to be the next Supreme. Miss Anna Lee Layton, she wants to get her out of the way. At this point, I think she's probably like 17, 18 years old. She's like, all right, move. So what does she do? I don't know if you can read that, but it says, Fiona kills Miss Anna Lee Layton. Yes, she does. But she does it while a certain someone is in the doorway watching. The butler, Spaulding. Look at how raggedy he looks. Oh my gosh, I didn't even put Fiona up here yet. Hold on. Hang on. I'm just one person. Hang on a second. But she knows that Spaulding loves her. He is whipped. So she says, it's just between us. Shut your mouth. And now we're going to get into another character. This is where we're going to get the ball rolling. This character, other than the Axeman, might be my favorite of the show. That's not true. I do have another one. I just looked at her. Okay, I have 3 favorite characters, and this is one of them. Myrtle Snow. She is funny as hell, okay? I will say this season has the best one-liners.
Your sewer charge order for $1.99.
Do we dare?
4 Salem witches traveling all the way down here in covered wagons without a proper charcuterie platter or a bidet.
And I think that's why I didn't love it at first, because I was like, no, this is a serious fucking show. Well, Myrtle, she is going to school, Miss Robichaux's Academy, with Fiona, and she believes what really happened. Fiona ended up killing Miss Anna Lee. She doesn't know how, but she's got to prove it. She was stupid, honestly, for saying this out loud. So they're sitting down at dinner one night. Miss Myrtle Snow is talking to one of her friends, and she says, I actually put a spell on Spaulding. I put a spell on him. I cursed his tongue. He can never lie. He always has to speak the truth. And she said this within earshot of the man. Why would you say it out loud? Why would you even tell anybody? Spaulding hears this, and his family has worked at the Robichaux's Academy basically since it started. He loves the Supreme. That's his duty, is to follow the Supreme's orders. So what does he do? The man cuts out his own tongue. That way he can never speak. He can't lie. Or wait, he can't tell the truth. Myrtle's plan fumbles. There is a witch council. It's basically like if you go to court or something like that, you'll go to witch court. Council comes out to the academy to see if they can sense Annalee's life force. They can't. And so then they give Fiona the chance to perform the 7 wonders. She does. She passes. She is the new Supreme. Yeah! You got all that? In the AHS cinematic universe, a lot of stuff is happening in 2012. Like at the time when these seasons premiered, it was right around 2012, so that's not that shocking. I don't know, I've got like 2012 up here, 2012, like shit was happening all over the US with this show. We are going to meet Cordelia Fox. This is, can you hear me? This is Fiona Good's daughter. Hello. I'm right here. She is running the academy. Catches wind of another witch in Detroit. Where the hell did she go? So she goes to do a little bit of recruiting, and that's where she meets Queenie. I don't know what her last name is. I kept trying to find out. I don't know if it was said, but Queenie was working up at a chicken shop. I can't remember exactly what happened, but she like got into it with a customer at the chicken shop, and she showed her powers. Miss Cordelia was like, oh bitch, come on down here with me. So Queenie joins the academy. Okay, we're modern day. Zoe Benson. Queen Thaisa Farmiga. Miss Farmiga. Great hair again. She's back at her house, and she's about to get it on with her boyfriend. She's about to lose her virginity. Well, things don't go the way they planned, because he starts to have an aneurysm. He's like 17. She says it later on. She's like, the doctors had never seen a 17-year-old like this have a complete brain failure aneurysm, and it's because she was having sex. They call it the Black Widow power. So all the while that is happening, rounding out my top 3 favorite characters, Misty Day. Look at this woman. Lily Robb, I think it's Robb or Rabe. I'm not really sure how to pronounce her last name, but she tends to be my favorite characters in all the seasons. While they're having a revival They're all like Pentecostal, like, ooh, the Lord, Jesus Christ. Speaking in tongues, probably, I don't know. She sees on the ground a dead bird, picks up the dead bird. She holds it, she closes her eyes, she's thinking something, and the bird comes alive. It flies away. Well, the people down there, they think it's of
The devil.
accuse her of witchcraft, and they chain her up and burn her at the stake. My God. So while all this is going on, Fiona Good over here, she is not doing so well, just trying to find everlasting life, pretty much. I just spit, so sorry about that. Well, she is getting very sick. She's got the C word, the big C, cancer. So she's going to see this doctor. He is showing her video footage of a monkey that they gave a test drug to. The monkey was basically near death. Then we started giving her this drug, and look at her now, and the monkey was jumping off the walls and stuff like that. And then Fiona is like, yeah, I want it. Give it to me. The doctor says, it's not ready yet. It won't be ready for like another 2 years. And she's like, I don't care. I don't care. She uses some mind control powers on him. Anyway, she's getting the drug. It's not doing anything. And the doctor's like, yeah, I know. I told you. It wasn't ready. She gets mad. She sucks the life out of the doctor. And then she heads on back down to New Orleans, okay? Zoe has shown up at the academy. And that is where she meets Queenie. She also meets another character, Nan. She can read people's minds. And poor thing, she's getting a headache every damn day because she just hears every thought that's going on inside of the house. And she's like, can everybody shut the up? She's able to see what happened with Zoe, why Zoe ended up there. And then we also meet flop of the century, Madison Montgomery. I don't know. She is pretty, but I don't like her. Did you catch what I just said? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Last name Montgomery. Who did we talk about in the very first season? The very first character I ever brought up? Dr. Montgomery. I don't know if there's really a link between the two, but people have pointed it out. They were like, you could have used any other last name. But Madison, she is a bitch. Ex-movie star, pretty much. She was on the set one day of one of her movies. Her director was telling her to hit her mark. She got ticked, and she loosened a screw of a light fixture, and it fell and killed the director. Well, you also see that the Academy has dwindled down quite a bit. In 1919, they had maybe about like 20 or 30 girls. When Fiona was there, they had maybe 15 to 20. Generation by generation, it is dwindling down. So now they only have 4 altogether, including Zoe. Misty is not a part of the Coven, okay? Remember, she still died. She just got burned at the stake. Give her a second. After the first initial meeting of all the girls, all the gals, all the gays and theys, Zoe and Madison end up going to a frat house party. And while they're there, Zoe meets frat boy Kyle Spencer. Look, Evan Peters was showing out. He was giving the performances of his life in Murder House and Asylum. And in this season, I'm not getting that from him. I don't know. It's just not his season, which is fine. I mean, it's Coven. It's supposed to be about the women. Anyway, they go to the frat party. He is playing the DD of the night. He is the designated... Actually, he's not driving. They're on a party bus, giving them the rundown. He's like, I will be your minder. I'm going to be your keeper for tonight. Don't act up. There's like 12 of you and 1 of me, so act cool. They don't. Okay? Zoe meets Kyle. They start hitting it off. I want to talk to you. I want to get to know you more. She's like, I will kill you if we have sex. Madison is in a room upstairs, and some of the frat boys are taking turns R-wording her. They've drugged her. They roofied her. Kyle was not a part of that. Let's make that known. He starts chasing the frat boys out of the room because he's like, what are you doing? He chases them onto their party bus they have. The ringleader of the gang, he punches him in the face, knocks him out, and he tells everybody, he's like, all right, delete all the photos, all the videos you have on your phone of what just happened, delete them. Zoe is running after the bus. Madison is walking up behind her, and Madison goes like that, flips the bus. Hey, I know it's so hard to believe you can't even focus. All of them but 2 died, and one of them was our boy Kyle. He ended up dying on the bus, and there was 2 that survived, and then Zoe ends up going to the hospital to visit one of them. One of them lives, I guess. I don't know. They only focus on... The ringleader was one of the boys that lived. She goes up to his bed, closes the curtain. We need our privacy in here. She gets on top of him, starts to have sex with him. He has a brain aneurysm, and he dies. So she got some revenge for Madison. And you would do it too for a check. Fiona shows up back at the Coven, and she's like, hey, I'm here. Cordelia's like... Why? Cordelia and Fiona, they're like fire and ice. Fiona was not necessarily the greatest mother to Cordelia, okay? And actually, Cordelia says that Myrtle Snow was more of a mother than Fiona was. They say that a Supreme will start to weaken with her power, like mind, body, and soul will start to weaken when a new Supreme is on the rise. So that's why Fiona is like, well, I am getting sick with cancer, so there must be a new supreme. That's what has brought her back to New Orleans. So she says, I'm gonna start getting to know these girls down here because I need to know who the is taking my spot. And they all go out on the town. Nan starts hearing some whispering while they're out walking. You get that iconic scene of them walking down the street with their umbrellas and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I will give them that. She starts hearing some whispering, some voices. Well, she finds a house. Whose house? Lalauríe's house that has been turned into a walk-through museum. They go up and they look at the chamber of torture up in the attic. And then Fiona notices that Nan is nowhere to be found. She's like, well, she's the one that walked in here. Where the hell is she? She looks outside, sees Nan sitting at like some fountain or something like that. And she's like, what do you hear? I hear the woman of the house. She's down there under the concrete. So then later on, Fiona gets some men to dig up Lalauríe's body after how many years? 1834 to 2013? You can do the math. I don't feel like it. 180 years, I think it is. Whatever. But after all that time, she's back above ground. The reason why she brought her back is because she knows that she's still alive. And she's like, well, how are you immortal? I need to know because I want to be supreme forever and always. She's getting a little power hungry. She brings her back into the academy to stay with them. While all this is happening, cut to Misty Day has found out how to resurrect her own self. Remember, she brought the bird back, so she already knows how to bring things back to life. She brought her own self back to life because what? She is the boss. Yeah, okay, so Misty Day has come back. Zoe's feeling very heartbroken because she's like, Kyle died. He didn't even do anything. He was trying to help you. This sucks. Madison is like, we can go find the body, try and bring it back to life. They go to the morgue. They see that, I think there was 12 guys, and all of them have been pretty much dismembered. The bus just crumpled up and it just was not pretty. So they basically make a Frankenstein boyfriend. They get Kyle's head, but then they start attaching different arms, a different peen. They start doing an incantation. They start doing a little spell. It doesn't work until Madison leaves and Zoe's like, oh, I left something. I'll be right back. She gives him a kiss. She plants a wet one on him. That does the trick because it brings Mr. Kyle back to life. The guy who works in the morgue, what's their title? Mortician? He looks at the table and he sees this Frankenstein boy, body parts sewn together. He's like, what? Well, then Kyle raises up. He kills him. He kills the guy. I don't know what his name is, the doctor. Zoe ends up taking Kyle. She finds Misty Day and she's like, because he's got his wounds from where they sewn him together. So Misty's like, well, I'll help him out. My swamp mud, my gator mud is going to work. It's going to do the tricks. I'll put this on him. He's going to take a couple days, but he will be back in action. Back to Fiona. Fiona and Lalaurie, they're talking and she says, give me your secret of your life. How are you still alive? She says, well, I was cursed by the voodoo queen. Fiona takes that information. She goes to see Marie Laveau hair shop. She owns a hair shop called Cornrow City. And remember, like I said, a treaty going on where they don't cross over. She goes to see her and she's like, I want what you got. I want the elixir of life. I want to live forever. Laveau is like, no. We got a treaty going on and I'm not, no, get out. I should mention another character. I don't fucking care about this character at all, but he does, I have to mention him to go on with the story. This is Hank Fox, Cordelia's husband. Her and Hank are trying their best to have a baby. It's not working. Cordelia just can't have children. It's not in the cards for her. They have their own fertility ritual. Very intense. There's snakes and fire and a big circle of salt but it doesn't work. Not gonna happen, Cordelia. Also, like her mother, she goes to see Marie Laveau and she's asking for the fertility, what do you call it? Ritual. She goes and she explains everything that has to go into it. She's like, it's a process. She's like, I need 2 ounces of the baby gravy. Do you know how much 2 ounces is? Not to get weird or gross or anything, but 2 ounces of juice? Golly! And she says, we're going to put that in a fire. Then we're going to cut the throat of a goat over your belly. And then she says, I'm going to sleep for 3 days afterwards. And then after that, we've had a 100% success rate. Cordelia's like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Marie's like, no. Are you on crack or something? Do you not know that we have this treaty going on? Your mom's already been here. She's already tried it with me. She's trying to get something out of me. No. So with Lalaurie back in the academy, living in the household, she meets up with all the other girls. And Queenie is like, the fuck are you doing here? They start having a spat. Fiona makes Lalaurie Queenie's house slave. You're going to do whatever she needs you to do. If she needs you to wipe her ass, you're going to do that. We have 2 new characters to add. They are the next door neighbors to the Miss Robichaux's academy. Luke over here and his mother Joan. They all see them moving in next door. Nan is like, Hard eyes, googly eyes. She is in love. Go over next door, introduce ourselves. Oh my god, I need to meet my man. And Madison is really whoring herself out. She's like, don't you want someone as hot as me? Luke is like, no. Nan's obviously reading his mind and stuff like that. Nan brings him a cake. Oh my god, is this lemon? Lemon's my favorite. And she's like, yeah, I know, I read your mind. She didn't say that, but she's thinking it. So they actually start hitting it off. Well, Miss Joan walks in, and Miss Joan is a fire and brimstone, Bible-thumping, God-fearing woman. And she sees like Madison's dressed like a hooker. And she's like, get out of my house. We don't need, we've already donated. Madison gets ticked off by the way that Joan is talking to her and Nan. When they leave, she ignites their curtains on fire, and Nan is behind her and she's like, I didn't know you could do that. And she says, I didn't know either. Madison is learning that she has another power, which is pyrokinesis. She can start fires. Yay! Fiona's like, what is going on next door? They say Madison lit the curtains on fire. So Fiona's ears are perked up and she's like, she did she? Fiona takes Madison out for lunch. She wants to see if she can do a certain power called Concealium. So basically mind control. She says, look at this guy across the street. Take over his mind. So the guy walking in the street, he just stops in the middle of traffic. So Cordelia's like, okay. Word does get out that Lalaurie has been dug up and is now living over at the Coven at the Academy. Marie Laveau sends Bastien. Lalaurie, she sees a Bastien walking around outside of the kitchen and she's like, oh my god. Queenie's like, all right, go upstairs, I'll take care of it. Queenie gets Bastien into the greenhouse. This gets a little weird, I gotta admit. She's okay, so Madison has made a joke in the past that Queenie hasn't lost her virginity yet. So Queenie takes it upon herself. She gets the Minotaur to take her virginity. Well, in the process, and they don't explicitly say what happened, but Queenie gets hurt. I'm assuming the horn pierced her stomach or something like that, and she's like about to die. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not even say. Queenie's like a human voodoo doll. She can look at someone and just make them hurt themselves pretty much. I should have said that way earlier. I am so sorry. They find Queenie, and so Fiona brings her back to life with the power is called Vitalium Vitalis. Anyway, she's brought back to life. Well, Misty Day has done the remarkable, and she has brought Kyle almost back to his, if he had a normal self. Some of the scars are really deep, they can't go away, but she's basically got him mobile. So Zoe goes and she says, like, well, I need to take him back to his mom's house. She misses him, like she's about to K-word herself. Kyle and his mom have a history. Well, really, his mom has a history with him where she SA'd him all the time. So when he comes back, first of all, she's scared shitless. Later on in the episode, you find out it is not really a good thing for Kyle, because his mom goes after him pretty much and is like, these are not your body parts. I know what your body parts look like. So she's like, this is not you, but I don't mind it. Like grinding up on him and everything. Kyle acts out. He can't verbalize anything. All he can say at this point is like, no. So he starts having a freak out. He ends up killing his mother. And so then Zoe is like, ugh. This is not gonna work. She takes him back to Misty Day's hut. Staying there again. After a long night of hooking. No, I'm kidding. Fiona gets Madison alone downstairs. I don't know. They're having a back and forth. They're yelling at each other. Well, then Fiona, much like she did with Annalie Layton, takes the knife. She kills Madison Montgomery. And who does she do it in front of? Spalding. Again, it's like deja vu. Oh, also, at some point, Fiona cuts the head off the Minotaur and sends it back to Lalaurie. Not Lalaurie, I'm so sorry. Marie Laveau, as like a threat. That means that Bastien has died. All the while, this boring ass storyline, truly. Thank God it only lasts for one episode. But Hank has told Cordelia that he is going out of town for business. Really, he's actually going to meet up with another woman named Kaylee. I didn't print out a picture of Kaylee because she isn't here for very long. They have a night of just sex, right? He's having an affair with her. In the morning time, they're sitting there, they're having a breakfast. Hank gets up and gets something behind Kaylee. He comes behind her, bop, kills Kaylee. What the fuck? You'll find out later why he did that, but that's going on right now. So now we're gonna get some new characters to add to our board. On the new council, the new and improved council, we have Miss Myrtle Snow, but then we have Cicely Penbrook. I think it's Cicely, and we also have Quentin. I don't remember his last name. Oh my God, rip Leslie Ellen Jordan. Lord, I'm about to bust.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
All three of these girly pops make up the council. God, I feel like I'm choking myself. They have gotten word that Miss Madison Montgomery, she's not here. They can't find her. So they come and they're trying to find out if they can sense her. Well, you remember Myrtle, she doesn't really like Fiona. She knows that Fiona is a snake in the grass. So she's already coming in there like, I think you did it. You've done it once before. And I know you've done it before. While the council is here, Fiona and Cordelia, they have a night out where they're trying to, I don't know what they're really trying to do. Fiona excuses herself to go to the bathroom. Someone in a dark cloak comes up to her, throws acid in her face, and blinds Cordelia. So she's in the hospital. And now it's Halloween night. As we all know, American Horror Story lives for a good Halloween episode. And I gotta be honest with you, this Halloween episode kinda sucked. This is American Horror Story. Halloween should be your bread and butter. So Halloween comes around and Marie Laveau is ticked love because they sent back the head of Bastien. Yeah, you remember that? And so she does a ritual to bring back those from the dead. She sicks them onto the Coven, go to the academy and wreak havoc. Madame Lalaurie, she is passing out candy. Who knocks on the door? Her 3 daughters. Oh my god, but they look awful. They look so dead. Anyway, she gets scared as hell. Luke comes over at one point. Where's he at? Where are you at? Luke, he comes over to the house at one point to see Nan. They look outside. They see swarms of these zombie looking people coming towards the house. And he's like, this is just some elaborate Halloween prank. I'm gonna go outside and I'm telling them all to leave. He gets attacked. Nan runs out there. They get into a car. Then Zoe comes to the rescue and she goes out there with a chainsaw and kills everybody. That's pretty much it. Like, that's the most exciting thing that happens. That's the most action you're gonna get from this Halloween episode. Cordelia, she's blind, she can't see anymore, but she does gain a new power, something called the sight. So if she touches your hand, she can see. I don't know if she picks what she wants to see or whatever's on the person's mind, but Hank comes to visit her in the hospital, and Hank and Fiona, ooh, if you thought they were fire and ice, they are oil and water. Hank touches Fiona's arm. She's so dramatic with it. She goes like, but she sees Hank was fooling around other girl Kaylee, and she's like, you mother. I don't know when that stopped recording on my mic, so there's some audio there for a second. Fiona, she is trying to get rid of Myrtle Snow because Myrtle Snow is just like a little gnat that keeps flying around her. She's like, get away from me. I did kill these people, but go away. You're ruining the plan. Fiona creates a vision in her mind to show the council that Myrtle was the one that threw the acid in Cordelia's face. The council is looking at Myrtle like, what the are you doing? That's no good. You cannot harm another witch. Myrtle Snow, she gets burned alive at the stake. But who comes to the rescue? Bestie, Misty Day. She finds her in the ashes and she takes her back to her hut, buries her in her flower bed, and she waters her every day. But she brings back Myrtle Snow. She's not done yet, girlies. No. Oh my god, are y'all ready? Are y'all ready for this? Zoe finds a Ouija board. We need to use this because we need to get in touch with Madison's spirit so she can let us know if she's here or not. Queenie is like, absolutely, why the would you do? You don't mess with this shit. This is going to open up a door that you can't shut. When they first start, she's kind of giving her a precaution. She's like, you better ask the right questions. Don't ask any open-ended questions. And they say, what's your name? Because they think they're talking to Madison. And it spells out the name Axeman. He's back in it. I love you. He's back. Thank God. Queenie gets scared. She's like, no, stop it, end it, we're not doing this. Well, then later on, Zoe can't help herself. If the Axeman knows something, if he's here and he saw what happened to Madison, I need to know. By herself, she gets in contact with the Axeman. She's like, well, what do you want? You want me to release you? So she guarantees his release, and he gives her the answer, attic. Because she did that, the Axeman is out on the prowl. Cordelia comes back home. Axeman comes back and he's in her bedroom. She touches him and sees who he is and stuff like that. And she's like, oh my god. Oh my god. Zoe goes up to the attic and that is where you find out that Spaulding, that is his room up in the attic. She sees that Spaulding's got a weird fucking obsession. He's a grown-ass man playing with these baby dolls. And she lifts up a toy chest and sees Madison's rotting body inside of it, dressed up too, so Spaulding dressed her up. Zoe ends up finding Spaulding's tongue hidden away in a little treasure box. I don't know why the hell he kept it, but he did. So anyway, she takes the tongue, drops it into his mouth while he's asleep. He like wiggles his mouth around and it's attached again. She is waiting for him to wake up. She's like, hello, Spaulding. And he says, hello. And he's like, I can speak, and since you have your tongue back that has the enchantment on it, you can only tell the truth. I have you tied down, and you're going to tell me who killed Madison. He can't lie, so he says, Fiona. And that is also where he professes his love for her. Like, I've worked for this house for generations, and she is the supreme. She will always be the supreme. Zoe. She kills Spaulding. Oh no. Cordelia touches Fiona's arm. She sees that Myrtle has died, has been burned at the stake, and nobody knows that she's being brought back. She's having a conniption over that because, like I said, Myrtle has been more of a mom to Cordelia than Fiona ever was. Yeah, she's a little hurt by it. Zoe, I almost fell over with the help of Misty Day, bring Madison back from the dead. And truthfully, I don't care about the relationship between Kyle. I'll just get it out of the way because I truly don't care about this storyline. Madison goes after Kyle. We've both been dead before. We know what it's like. You and me, we share a bond. She knows that Zoe loves Kyle, so I don't know. It gets messy. They try to have like a threesome relationship. I don't care. I don't care about it. It's so Kyle ends up becoming like the guard dog. They call him the guard dog of the house. That is his whole storyline. Cordelia touches Madison and she sees who killed her. Her own mother, Fiona. All the girls in the Coven, they start to devise a plan because they're like, well, we need to go ahead and get rid of her. Give up her title of Supreme. She is playing dirty as hell. She is so messy, okay? That's where you get that scene. I will say, okay, I will give Miss Thing her coin. She has that iconic scene. Surprise, bitch.
I bet you thought you'd seen the last of me.
Queenie is starting to question her position in the Coven. They don't really appreciate me for my powers. They think I'm pretty disposable. She's not feeling the best. So then she takes a trip over to Marie Laveau's and she's like, can I stay here? They start having their bond. Why are these not sticking? By this point, Misty Day has brought back Madison. She basically joins the Coven. You have all of these little girlies except for Queenie now. Queenie's kind of going over to this side. Nan goes over to Luke and Joan's house next door. She wants to see Luke after the whole zombie thing and make sure that he's okay. Oh, I didn't even tell you. So at one point you see Joan exert her dominance over Luke. She says, I'm sure you've had impure thoughts about this whore. And he's like, I don't even like her. I don't like that one. I want Nan. I know you've had some nasty thoughts to cleanse you from the inside out. She has this poor boy put a funnel up his ass and pour bleach down in it. So anyway, that just shows you their dynamic. Anyway, Nan goes over there. You start hearing bop, bop, bop. Some people are shooting up the house. Luke is in critical condition. They take him to the hospital. That who is doing these killings? It's a group of witch hunters. You find out also Mr. Hank Fox is a witch hunter. He is the son of the owner of like this big corporation called Delphi Trust. His dad is the owner, the chairman. Their sole purpose is to take out witches. So what was he doing with Kaylee? You remember the one that he shot behind the head? Kaylee was a witch. He lured her in and killed her. He was like, aren't you proud of me, Dad? The dad was like, you made that messy as hell. We got to clean up this mess you created. So he's not good at his job because he has been working with Marie Laveau. He's been kind of in cahoots. Marie knows that Hank is married to Cordelia, who is in the academy. She's like, I need you to go in and start killing these bitches. When they were having the shootout in the Joan and Luke house, it was actually Hank. He's trying to prove to his dad that he can take care of business too. And he knew that the witches were over there at the house and he was like, I got a good shot. Bop, bop. Well, he missed. Oh, Quentin Falming. That was his last name. I know I wrote it down. We're going to come back over here to the council members. Myrtle Snow, she's back. She is back, baby. She's making a dinner for the council. The show starts off with her like using a melon baller. Is that what it's called? A melon baller? Myrtle is mad as hell at the both of them because she's like, you guys were my friends and you betrayed me. Fiona said that I threw acid on Cordelia's face. I would never do that. And you know I wouldn't do that, but you agreed with her. And you burned me alive. What the hell? So she's mad. Goes up behind them, scoops out one of each of their eyes. Did I phrase that right? She scoops out an eye from each of them. So then she kills them. They die. They're dead. Goodbye. Myrtle takes the 2 eyeballs that she scooped out and she gives them to Cordelia to give her her eyesight back. But when she does that, she actually takes away the power at the sight. So now Cordelia can't see into people's minds anymore. And she's like, fuck. Damn it! Hank goes down to Cornrow City, goes on a killing spree, kills everybody. It ends up shooting Queenie in the stomach. She goes down. She doesn't die right away. Then she grabs onto a gun and she looks at Hank, shoots herself in the head because she's a human voodoo doll, like I mentioned. Hank dies. Hank is dead. Thank God. His character was so boring to me. I'm sorry. I don't care about him. After that, Marie Laveau has come over to the academy and declared a truce because now we got to take down this in witch hunting company. So let's go back to Joan and Luke. Let's finish up their story. Nan she's been waiting at the hospital to visit with Luke, but Joan will not let her see him. They finally sneak in to see him, and she's getting ticked off. She's like, no, get out. I don't want you here. But then Nan can read minds, remember? So she's reading Luke's mind. Luke is telling her to tell his mom, I like that song that you used to sing me. And then they both start singing a song together, and it's really nice and wholesome. So then Joan is coming around. She's like, oh my God, Nan, you're actually that girl. You were actually that bitch. Yeah, you can hang out with us. Another visit. Nan is in there, and Luke spills everything to Nan. Luke is like, I want you to tell her that I know what she did to my dad. And then you see a flashback. Joan was on the phone with Luke's dad. He was like, I'm filing for divorce. We can't be together anymore. Luke said that his dad was cheating on his mom with someone at his office, and so she couldn't take that. His dad, very allergic to bees, was locked into his car. Joan filled the car with bees, and the dad died. Now that he's in between that limbo state of like life and death, he knows the truth of what she did. He's telling Nan to say that to Joan, and Joan is looking at Nan like, you bitch. Tells Nan to leave and never come back. Well, Joan, Mother of the Year, Luke ends up waking up, and he looks at his mom and he's like, you killed my dad. Joan is like, it's okay. Don't worry, it's okay. It's all right. Deep breaths. She smothers the boy. She kills her own son. To finish up their story, Joan ends up going back home. Nan finds out that Luke has died. Nan and Zoe go over to see Joan. Nan is able to actually tell what happened because she can read minds. She knows. So then what does she do? Nan, killed your own son. That is a sin, and we need to cleanse you of all your sins. She gets Joan using a new power, Concilium, the mind control one. You remember I told you about? She takes over her mind. Joan starts chugging the bleach. Joan dies. Goodbye, bitch. Marie Laveau has sought out refuge at the Coven, and while she is there, she is visited. I'm not kidding you. This is probably the scariest character in all of American Horror Story that I've ever seen. She is visited by Papa Legba. I don't like it. Not to water this down, but if you've seen Princess and the Frog, you know Dr. Facilier. Papa Legba is the gatekeeper to the underworld, I think is what his official title is. Yeah, he's basically here to take you to hell. Welcome to hell, motherfucker. That's what I think he would do. Papa Legba shows himself to Marie Laveau. The reason that Marie Laveau is immortal is because she made a deal with Papa Legba. She promised him the life of an innocent soul once a year, and she could have life everlasting. And at the time, she was confused, and when they made the deal, because he's kind of a trickster. He can word things a certain way, and you'll agree to it, and he's like, had a misunderstanding. She was like, I thought you wanted sex. The first time that he came for the payment of her immortality, she had just had her first child, and she had to give it up to Papa Legba. So for years, whenever she became immortal, I actually don't know what year that happened. They didn't say. Pretty much hundreds of years, she's been taking babies, and she'll go to the hospitals or wherever she can find them, snatching up babies to give to Papa Legba. So she's about to do it again. That's why I bring it up. Okay. Also, who does Misty Day remind you of? In this picture, the way she's dressed, who does she remind you of? She's got one icon in this world, just like me. Maybe not me, I have many, but I love Taylor Swift. Speaking of, I have 2 hours before the new album drops. I gotta finish this up. Misty has one icon in this world. Stevie Nicks. Yes, bitch. The White Witch herself. Fiona gets in touch with Stevie Nicks, and she brings her to the Coven to meet with Misty as a little bit of bribery, because now, what's her name? If Misty brought Madison back from the dead, she might be the Supreme. Trying to get on Misty's good side. And they sing, they twirl. Stevie gives her shawl. So then Madison, she's getting a little ticked because she's like, no, I want to be Supreme. Misty and Madison are out at a New Orleans funeral, which is so... I hate to say a funeral looks fun. They're talking about who could possibly be the Supreme, the man of the funeral. She brings him back to life. He gets out of his casket. Madison hits Misty Day over the head. She falls into the casket. And all the while, the workers that were digging up the grave, Madison has like frozen them in time. She falls into the casket. She closes it. Well, after she takes the shawl too. Can you believe that? She unfreezes the men, lets them bury her alive in a mausoleum. Back to the whole Papa Legba story of it all. Fiona learns who Papa Legba is. She found out that Marie kept her immortality. So she's like, I'm gonna go right to the source. This woman is desperate, and she's like, I can give you the innocent soul, no problem, I'll do it, I don't care what it takes. She said, well, let me get you the innocent soul. And he's like, okay, I guess. Nan actually finds the baby that Laveau has hidden away. Laveau and Fiona corner Nan. She's like, why do you have this baby? And they're like, just forget about it, leave it alone. And they're both like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, we could kill Nan, that's an innocent soul. So they drown Nan in the bathtub. And then Papa Legba shows up. And because Nan she killed Joan, remember that? She's not an innocent soul at all. But then Nan shows up, her spirit shows up, and she's like, can you just take me with you? Because I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be stuck in this house. She says, anywhere is better than here. Her and Papa Legba leave. Papa Legba also loves doing cocaine. I just remembered that. I don't know why I just thought about that. That's not important really to the story, but the Coven is having a funeral held for Nan, and Queenie shows back up. Queenie, she didn't die. She's got Miss Lalaurie on a leash. She's got her on a leash because she found her at... Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't even talk about that. Oh, yeah. Queenie ends up, for the price of entry pretty much, brings Laveau Lalaurie. She says, bring me that woman back. They just were torturing her. They cut her head off, sent it back to the Coven. The Coven sends it back. Queenie has come back, and she's got Lalaurie on a leash. She's put her head back on. This dog is staying with me. Cordelia is desperate to get that power of the sight back. After Miss Myrtle Snow risked the lives of 2 people, she even said, this is my best work. She gave you a brand new set of eyes. Paramore brand new eyes. What does Cordelia do? She sits there, she gets a box cutter out, stabs her own eyes. She blinds herself in a desperate attempt to get the sight back. Marie Laveau is over at the Coven, seek refuge, and also form a plan with Fiona to go after this witch hunting company, Delphi Trust. And who do they get involved? The Axeman. Throughout the season, the Axeman and Fiona have started a little fling. It gets a little weird because you find out that the Axeman, because he was a spirit of the house in 1919, he's been watching over Fiona since she was a little girl. He says, you were like the little girl that I never had. Then I watched you grow into a woman and my feelings for you started to change. That's where it gets a little bit gross to me, I will admit. Fiona and Marie, they devise a plan with the Axeman and have a meeting with Delphi Trust. Delphi Trust is like, we will pay you all $100 million or however much, and we'll sign a contract that's good for 100 years. We won't bother you, and we can forget everything that's already happened, and we'll stay over here, and we'll stay over. It's like the treaty again. They're like, no thank you. It's a bloodbath, love. It's a bloodbath. The Axeman goes on his killing spree, starts killing everybody, hacking away. Fiona gets the last swing in of the CEO, the father of Hank. She gets one whack in and kills him. They all die. Lalaurie, she is getting in touch with Spaulding. His spirit is hanging around the house too. How the hell am I going to get rid of Laveau? He says, I know what we can do. I have this potion, death potion, whatever he says. What is it? A Benadryl. It's actually kind of funny because she gives her the drink that she makes and she throws the pills at her and Marie is like, this is an antihistamine. Lalaurie starts running down the stairs. Spaulding comes up behind her, whacks Lalaurie on the back of the head with a doll. She falls down the stairs. Lalaurie is like, well, now what? I thought this was going to kill her. And Spaulding was like, no, she can't die. And then Lalaurie says one of the funniest lines. She goes, well, turds on that. Spaulding is like, well, go bury her. And she says, well, she'll just dig her way out. And then he says, find out a way where she can't do that. Basically implying, hack her up, spread out the body parts. Marie Laveau is no more, at least on this earth. So then Queenie, why she gets herself in this situation, I can't remember off the top of my head. But for one reason or another, she gets in touch with Papa Legba. She goes down into, it's basically her own hell, which is back at the chicken shop, okay? And it's just like an endless line of rude-ass customers. Papa Legba shows up. And Queenie is like, Marie Laveau can't carry out her end of the bargain anymore. She can't give you an innocent soul anymore. So she has to go to hell. And he's like, yeah, you're right. Then you find out Madame Delphine Lalaurie and Marie Laveau are stuck in their own hell together for eternity. Lalaurie is stuck in one of her torture chambers. Laveau is tasked with torturing Lalaurie and her 3 daughters. Wouldn't have much of a problem torturing Lalaurie, but she does not want to torture the daughters because she's like, well, the daughters didn't do anything to me. Anyway, it becomes a constant loop and they're stuck there. So that is the end of their story. Boom, boom, boom. The second half of the season, Fiona is really laying it on thick with Cordelia. Just bringing her down. She's like, you stupid idiot. Why the f*** did you blind yourself? Why would you feel the need to do... Like, she is tearing her down. She is not feeling so hot. She is looking through her jewelry box and she gives Cordelia her mother's, so Cordelia's grandmother's necklace. When Cordelia puts the necklace on, when she touches Fiona's hand, gives her the sight. It gives her the sight to see Fiona's plan to backstab everybody in the Coven. She's still on that. I need to live forever. I need to be supreme forever. Fiona is basically planning to kill everyone in the Coven. She's got a plane ticket to kind of flee the country for a little bit. So Cordelia goes and she sees the Axeman at his house. I've seen what she's planning to do with the Coven, and then she's got a bus ticket. She's getting out of here. She's leaving you behind. Hope you know that. Fiona goes over to see the Axeman, and the Axeman is like, you got something to say? I've seen the vision. I know you're leaving. I know you've got a bus ticket. And she's like, okay, yeah. But then she says, but it's all a part of the plan. This is where it gets a little confusing. Try and follow along. Fiona has actually planted a memory in the Axeman's mind. I need you to beat me up so that it looks like you're going to kill me. So that way, when he goes back to the Coven, Cordelia touch him, she'll see that he killed Fiona, which he really didn't. That's what they want her to see. Cordelia and Queenie get Misty Day out of the casket that she's buried alive in. Misty comes back to the Coven. She starts beating the shit out of Madison, and thank God somebody needs to whoop her tail. While they're having their brawl, their Royal Rumble, the Axeman shows up, and he is swinging his axe because he's trying to help Fiona find the Supreme too. He's like, I'll just make this quick. I'm gonna kill everybody. If the Supreme is here, I'll get her out of the way. The witches, they're like, boy, stop. Powers shove him up against the staircase. Cordelia goes up. She sees the memory that Fiona has planted, and she's like, he killed her. All of the witches take a turn, stabbing the Axeman. Rude, as the spirit of the Axeman is gone. He's dead. For all they know, Fiona's dead too. Okay, so now, people, we are at the Seven Wonders. One of the most exciting parts of the show, minus the Axeman. All these little girlies down here think that they're good enough to be the Supreme, so they're going to have a collective group test, not just show that they have the powers, but can control it too. We're going to go through the powers real quick. No particular order. Telekinesis, and I have the definitions here, people. The power to manipulate and induce movement in physical objects without touching them. They use candles. They have to slide the candles across the table and blow out the flame. And then next up is Consilium. Ability to control another's mind through sheer willpower, allowing the one performing to control actions, memories, thoughts, etc. Basically, mind control, like we've already discussed. The next one is Descensium. Projects one's soul to the netherworlds of the afterlife. If you remember me saying, that's what Queenie was doing. You have to bring yourself to your own hell and then bring yourself back. The next one up, we have transmutation, the ability to move instantaneously from one place to another without physically occupying the space in between. So basically teleporting from here to here to here. Next, we have pyrokinesis, the ability to create and control and manipulate fire. I think that one speaks for itself. And then we have divination. This one is honestly kind of confusing to me, and I should know this one because, hello, I'm a Harry Potter whore. The ability to obtain direct or indirect knowledge about an object, person, location, or physical event through means other than the user's physical senses. I don't know, that one's kind of hard to explain. I get what's happening, but I have no idea how to explain it to you. And the last one is the Vitalium Vitalis, which is the resurrection, the ability to bring people back to life. Not to be confused with the Sensium one. Let's get into the seven wonders of this Coven. Telekinesis test with the candles, they all pass. Misty has a little bit of a tougher time. Misty hasn't been in a school where she's like honing in on her craft, really. They all end up getting the candle to come across the table. The Consilium test, which, like I said, they started slapping each other and getting in fights and having Kyle get involved and then goes kisses. Whatever. Who cares? Those ones are kind of boring. They go into the Descensium test. I think it's Descensium. I'm going to say Descensium. They have an hourglass. They have to be back before the sand runs out. So they all go down into the netherworlds, into their own hell. Queenie goes to that chicken shop and she's back. She's the first one back because she's already done it before. She knows. Madison comes back. What does she say? She's like, I was on a television musical of The Sound of Music and I was playing Liesel. Zoe comes back next. Zoe says, me and Kyle just kept breaking up. He kept breaking up with me. Oh, and he said he didn't love me, blah, blah, blah. Oh, whatever. So last we have Misty Day, and you see hers biology lab back in like middle school, and all the kids are dissecting a frog. She does not want to do it. The kid sitting next to her tattles. She's not doing it. She's not killing it. And so the teacher comes up and he's like, you're going to kill this frog, gets the scalpel, and they kill the frog together. That is fucking traumatizing to Misty Day because she loves nature. She would never hurt nature. She brought the bird back to life. And then it starts all over. It's on a continuous loop and she can't figure out how to get out of it. Unfortunately, let's all have a moment of silence. Misty Day does not passed. She is out. She has died. But then they get back to the test and they do the transmutation test. They try and make it a little bit more lighthearted. They start playing a game of tag. Well, it gets a little out of hand because they're not concentrating. And Miss Zoe over here ends up getting impaled by one of the iron bars on the front fence of the school. She's dead. They say, Madison, you want to prove you're the Supreme? This is going to be one of the tests you have to prove anyway, so bring her back to life. Madison is like, no. Queenie tries it. Queenie can't do it, so she is not the Supreme. She fails her test. Zoe failed her test because she obviously f***ed up the transmutation part of it. All that's left is Madison. And they're like, are you afraid? Are you afraid you're not the next Supreme? And then there's a fly flying around her. She snaps. She kills the fly. She's holding it out in her hand, brings it back to life, and she's like, I can do it. I just don't want to. Myrtle brings up, Cordelia, you should try these tests and you could save Zoe. She starts her 7 wonders. She catches up. And then Madison is like, well, I want back in too. So now they do pyrokinesis. I think Cordelia just does the candle. Cordelia's hell when she's in the Decensium, but she says it was her trying to get her mother's approval. It's so boring. Like, that's your hell? That's the worst fucking thing that you're going to see in the netherworld. Next is divination. Myrtle. She gets pebbles and beads and stuff like that. She spills them out on the table and she says, Cordelia, find the heirloom to this one Supreme that long ago it's buried somewhere in this house. Cordelia is like, it's upstairs in the 3rd bedroom on the right, under the dresser, in the 5th drawer down. I don't know. So then they get Madison to try and do it, and she cannot do it. She thinks she's too big for her britches. She's like, whatever, this is so stupid anyway. She gets pissy. She runs upstairs. She's like, I'm leaving this coven. Kyle follows her up there, and he's like, you could have saved her, meaning Zoe. Then Kyle gets mad, and then he chokes Madison out and strangles her on the bed. Madison dies. I think Spalding actually does something with Madison's body because he goes up and brushes her hair back with one of his dolls. She passed the vitamin Vitalium Vitalis by bringing Zoe back. So she has passed all of the 7 wonders. Yay! Congratulations, Cordelia. Cordelia is the next Supreme. Okay, so this is where it gets kind of stupid, but you do get one of the best lines in this entire series. Myrtle goes up to Cordelia. She's like, I did kill these 2 to get the eyeballs from them to give to you. I did kill other witches. I should be burned at the stake. And Cordelia's like, why? Why would you want that? Like, I can forgive it. But she's like, no, we have to be fair. I think that's so stupid. Like, no offense, nobody's gonna miss them. Cordelia orders that Myrtle, once again, be burned at the stake. Like I said, the best line in all of American Horror Story. Cordelia is like, do you have any last words? Myrtle Snow goes, only one. Balenciaga! Balenciaga! Then Cordelia decides to make it public that the school is open for everybody to join, because before they were very private. They would go out and recruit. Now she feels safe without the Delphi Trust up their ass all the time. She feels safe enough to offer sanctuary for witches all over. Then it cuts to Fiona. Her story's not done yet. Well, after Cordelia opens up the school, she meets up with Fiona because she's like, oh my god, you didn't die? But Fiona looks rough. She is getting sicker and sicker with this cancer, and she's got maybe like a couple hours to live. So they start having a conversation. They have a come to Jesus meeting, sort of, not really. Like they're never going to be BFF. Fiona officially dies in Cordelia's arms. And then Fiona is in her own kind of hell with the Axeman, and they're living in some kind of shack. And then here's another iconic line. She's like, it smells like fish and cat piss. And what is this? Naughty pie! And that is how Fiona ends her story. She is stuck in a hell with the Axeman. Bunch of girls come into the school. There's like at least 100 of them waiting outside. And it ends with the girls asking, who's the Supreme? And then Queenie's like, you're looking at her. And it zooms in on Cordelia. And then it ends. And then you hear that song that's like, la, la, la. You're able to follow along in any way with all that. I feel like that was a mess. My brain is mush. This was the longest one I've recorded, I think. We've done the first 3 seasons of American Horror Story. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I can make this concise and precise. I've done as much research as I'm physically able to do, and I know I haven't touched on every little detail. Next time we come back, we're gonna pick up with season 4, but I'm going to redo the board up here. I feel like this is not gonna be easy to follow along, and obviously it's gonna get too far down. I'm not gonna have enough room. I don't know. We might have to get a second board. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this. We're just testing out the waters. Like I said, I've never made a video like this before. If you enjoy this longer form type of video, let me know. If you're interested at all in this timeline like I am, because I find it fascinating. It is a lot of work, so I'm not going to keep doing this if nobody Who cares? Comment what your favorite season is. Who's your favorite characters? What's your favorite storylines? What's your favorite plot about all of this? I have like such bad cotton mouth from talking so much. I'm tired of hearing myself talk. Oh my god. And now I have 1 hour and then we get to listen to the Taylor Swift album. Yay. All right, I'm done. Bye.